Xiao sent Zhang Tai and others hurriedly.
"高览去劫大路，正欲徐晃烧粮而回，恰与交锋，背后张辽、许诸军到，两下夹攻，杀散援军，四将合兵一处，回官渡寨中。曹操大喜，众加赏劳。"
When Gao Lan went to intercept the main road, he met Su Huang, who was burning food and was returning. Just as he was about to fight, Zhang Liao and Su Zhu's troops arrived behind him. After 2 flanking attacks, Yuan's army was killed and dispersed. The 4 generals joined forces and returned to Guandu stronghold. Cao Cao was overjoyed and rewarded his efforts heavily.
又分军于寨前结营为犄角之势。却说韩猛败军还营，少大怒，欲斩韩猛，众官劝勉。沈沛曰："行军以粮食为重，不可不用心提防。"
They also divided their troops and formed a camp in front of the stronghold to form a corner-holding posture. But when Han Meng's defeated army returned to camp, Xiao was furious and wanted to kill Han Meng, but the officials persuaded him not to do so. Shen Pei said, "When marching, food is the most important thing, so we must be careful."
吴朝乃屯粮之处，必得重兵守之。袁绍曰："吾筹策已定，如可回邺，都监督粮草，休教缺乏。" 沈沛领命而去。袁绍遣大将淳于琼。
Wuchao is a place where grain is stored and must be heavily guarded. Yuan Shao said, "I have decided on the plan. You can go back to Yi to supervise the food and grass, and there will be a shortage of education." Shen Pei took the order and left. Yuan Shao sent General Chunyu Qiong to
部领都江虽援进韩举子、吕威煌、赵睿等引2万人马守乌巢。那淳于琼性刚好酒，军士多畏之，既至乌巢，终日与诸将聚也。
Sui Yuan, the commander-in-chief of the ministry, led Han Zhizi, Lu Weihuang, Zhao Rui, etc., and led 20,000 horses to guard Wuchao. Chunyu Qiong was good at drinking wine, and many soldiers were afraid of her. When he arrived at Wuchao, he drank with the generals all day long.
且说曹操军粮告捷即发时，往许昌郊寻欲作速错办粮草，星夜解缚，军前接济。使者击书而往，行不上30里，被援军捉住，复见谋士许攸。
It is said that Cao Cao's army ran out of food and urgently sent his envoys to Xuchang to teach Sun Yu how to quickly prepare food and grass. He went to the front of the army to provide relief at Starry Night. The envoy went with the letter, but could not travel more than 30 miles. He was caught by Yuan's army and bound to see the counselor Su Yu.
那许攸自子远少时曾与曹操为友，此时却在袁绍处为谋士。当下搜得使者所及曹操催粮书信，竟来见绍曰：“曹操屯军官渡，与我相持已久。”
Su Yu, Ziziyuan, had been friends with Cao Cao when he was young, but at this time he was working as an advisor to Yuan Shao. At that time, he found the letter sent by the envoy to urge Cao Cao to supply food. He came to see Shao and said, "Cao Cao has been stationed at Guanjundu and has been at odds with me for a long time."
许昌必空虚，若分义军星夜演习许昌，则许昌可拔，而操可擒也。今操粮草已尽，正可乘此机会，两路击之。绍曰：“曹操诡计极多。”
Xuchang will definitely be empty. If an army is divided into a starry night to cover up Xuchang, then Xuchang can be evacuated and Chao can be captured. Now that Cao Cao's food and grass have been exhausted, he can take advantage of this opportunity and attack him from two directions. Shao said, "Cao Cao has many tricks."
此书乃诱敌之计也。忧曰：“今若不取，后将反受其害。”正话间，忽有使者自邺郡来，呈上审配书。书中先说运粮食，后言许攸在冀州时。
This book is a plan to lure the enemy. Ye Yu said, "If you don't take it now, you will suffer from it later." While he was talking, an envoy suddenly came from Yi County and presented the book for review and distribution. The book first talks about transporting grain, later, when Su Yu was in Jizhou.
常滥受民间财物，且纵令子侄辈多瞌睡，钱粮入己，尽已收其子侄下狱矣。绍见书大怒曰：“滥行匹夫，尚有面目于无钱献祭也。如与曹操有救。”
He abused the people's property and even ordered his children and nephews to pay more taxes and use the money and food for himself. Now he has sent his children and nephews to prison. Shao saw the book and said angrily, "You have behaved like a common man. You still have the dignity to offer advice to me. You have an old relationship with Cao Cao."
想今亦受他才会为他做奸细，辍传无君耳。本当斩首，今权且计头在相，可速退出，今后不许相见。许攸出，仰天叹曰：“忠言逆耳。”
I think I will accept his financial bribes and work as a spy for him to gain the ears of our army. He should have been beheaded, but now he has the power to rest on his head. You can exit immediately and we are not allowed to see each other again. Su Yu came out, looked up to the sky and sighed. Loyal words are offensive to the ears.
庶子不足与谋无子侄，已遭审配之害，吾何言 复见冀州之人乎？遂欲拔剑自刎。左右夺剑劝曰：公何轻生至此？袁绍不觉直言
My son and nephew have already been harmed by the marriage trial. How can I see the people of Jizhou again? Then he wanted to draw his sword and kill himself. He grabbed the swords from the left and right and said, Why did you commit suicide like this? Yuan Shao kept saying bluntly.
"后必为曹操所擒功，既与曹公有救，何不弃暗投明？"只这2句言语，点醒许攸，于是许攸径投曹操。后人有诗叹曰：本出豪气盖中华。
He will be captured by Cao Cao later. Since the Duke has an old relationship with Cao Cao, why not abandon the secret and turn to the bright side? Only these 2 words awakened Su Yu, so Su Yu went to Cao Cao. Later generations wrote a poem and sighed. At the beginning, the heroic spirit overshadowed China.
"官渡相持，往探街若使许攸谋见用，山河争得属曹家。却说许攸暗不出营，径投曹寨，俘虏军人拿住。又曰：我是曹丞相故友，快与我通报。"
The stalemate in Guandu was in vain. If Su Yilmo could be used, would the mountains and rivers belong to the Chao family? But he said that Su Yu secretly left the camp and went to Chao's camp, where he was captured by soldiers who were ambushing him. You said, I am an old friend of Prime Minister Chao. Tell me quickly.
"说南阳许攸来见军士，忙报入寨中。时曹方解衣歇息，闻说许攸私奔到寨，大喜，不及穿履，险足出营，遥见许攸，抚掌欢笑，携手共入。
It is said that Su Yu from Nanyang came to see the sergeant and hurriedly reported to the stronghold. When Cao Cao was undressing and resting, he heard that Su Yu had eloped to the village. He was so happy that he didn't even have time to put on his shoes, so he went out barefoot to greet Su Yu.
"操先拜于地幽荒，扶起曰：公乃汉相，吾乃布衣，何谦恭如此？操曰：公乃操故友，岂敢以名爵相上下乎？又曰：某不能责主。
Cao Cao bowed to the ground first. You hurriedly helped him up and said, You are the Prime Minister of the Han Dynasty, and I am a commoner. How can you be so humble and respectful? Cao Cao said, You are an old friend of Chao. How dare you use your title to rank me? You said, I can't choose my master.
"屈身袁绍言不听，既不从，今特弃之来见故人，愿赐收落。操曰：子元肯来，无事计矣。愿即教我以破绍之计。忧曰：
I bowed my head and refused to listen to Yuan Shao's words and did not follow his plans. Now I have abandoned him to see my old friend. Would like to include it. Chao Chao said, if Ziyuan is willing to come, I can help you. I wish you could teach me how to defeat Shao. You said.
吾曾教袁绍以轻骑乘虚袭许都，首尾相攻。操大惊曰：若袁绍用此言，吾事败矣。又曰：公今军粮尚有几何？操曰：可知1年。
I once taught Yuan Shao to use light cavalry to make a false attack on Su's capital. Chao Chao was shocked and said, if Yuan Shao had used Ziyan, my mission would have been defeated. You said, how much rations does the army have now? Chao said, it lasts for 1 year.
忧笑曰：恐未必。操曰：有半年耳。忧拂袖而起，屈步出帐曰：吾以诚相投，而攻见妻如是，岂无所望哉？操挽留曰：子远勿嗔。
You smiled and said, I'm afraid not necessarily. Chao Chao said, it's been half a year. You stood up with a flick of his sleeves, stepped out of the tent and said, I am sincere to each other, but the public sees bullying like this. What do I expect? Chao Wanlu said, don't be angry when you are far away.
尚容食粟军中粮食可至3月耳。忧笑曰：世人皆言孟德坚雄，今果然也。操亦笑曰：岂不闻兵不厌诈？遂附耳低言曰：
Shang Rongsher complained that the army's grain supply could last for 3 months. You laughed and said, everyone in the world says that Meng Da is a traitor, and now it's true. Chao also laughed and said, don't you know that soldiers are not afraid of deceit? Then he whispered in his ear.
"军中只有此月之粮。忧大声曰：休瞒我！粮已尽矣。操愕然曰：何以知之？忧乃出操与荀彧之书以示之曰：此书何人所写？
The army stopped having this month's food. You said loudly, don't hide it from me. The food is gone. Chao Chao said in astonishment, how do you know this? Yunai produced the book between Chao and Sun Yu to show it and said, who wrote this book?
"操惊问曰：何处得知？有以或使之事相告。操执其手曰：子远纪念旧交而来，愿即有以教我。又曰：明公以孤军抗大敌。
Chao Chao was surprised and asked, where did you get it? You told him about the envoy. Chao Chao held his hand and said, since Ziyuan came here in memory of my old friend, I wish he could teach me. You said, Minggong fights against the enemy alone.
而不求极胜之方，此取死之道也。犹有一策，不过3日，使袁绍100万之众不战自破。明公还肯听否？操喜曰：愿闻良策。忧曰：
If you don't seek a quick victory, then this is the way to die. You have a plan, but within 3 days, Yuan Shao's millions of troops will be destroyed without a fight. Ming Gong, are you still willing to listen? Chao Shi said, I would like to hear good advice. You said.
袁绍军粮辎重进击乌巢，金波淳于琼手把，琼士久无备。公科选精兵诈称援将蒋齐领兵到彼护粮，城间烧其粮草辎重。
Yuan Shao's army has exhausted all its supplies, so Chunyu Qiong was sent to guard the place. Qiong was addicted to alcohol and was unprepared. The public selected elite soldiers and falsely claimed that Yuan General Jiang Qi led his troops there to protect the supplies. He took the opportunity to burn his supplies.
则少军不3日将自乱以操大喜，重待许攸，留于塞中。次日，操自选马步军士5000，准备往乌巢劫粮。张辽曰：袁绍屯粮之所，安得无备？
Then Shao's army would be in chaos within 3 days. Chao was overjoyed and treated Suyu seriously and stayed in the fortress. The next day, Cao Cao selected 5,000 horse and infantry sergeants to go to Wuchao to rob food. Zhang Liao asked, Is Yuan Shao's food station safe and unprepared? "
丞相未可轻往，恐许攸有诈。操曰：不然，许攸此来，天败袁绍。今吾军粮不给，难以久持。若不用许攸之计，是坐而待困也。彼若有诈。
The Prime Minister should not go lightly for fear that Suyu may be deceived. Cao Cao said, Otherwise, if Suyu comes here, he will defeat Yuan Shao. Now that our army is not provided with food, it will be difficult to hold on for a long time. If we don't use Suyu's plan, we will just sit back and wait for trouble. If he is deceitful. "安肯留我寨中，且无意欲劫寨久矣。今劫粮之举，既在必行，君请勿疑。辽曰：亦须防袁绍乘虚来袭。操笑曰：吾以筹之属矣。And is willing to stay in my stronghold, and I also want to rob the stronghold for a long time. Today's plan to rob food is a must, please don't doubt it. Liao said, We must also guard against Yuan Shao taking advantage of the opportunity to attack. Chao laughed and said, I'm already familiar with it. "便叫荀攸贾诩、曹洪同许攸守大寨，夏侯惇、夏侯渊领义军伏于左，曹仁、
李典领义军伏于右，以备不虞。教张辽、许褚在前，徐晃、于禁在后。
He then taught Sun Yu, Jia Su, Chao Hong and Su Yu to guard the stronghold. Xiahou Dun and Xia Hoyuan led an army to lie on the left, and Chao Ren and Li Dian led an army to lie on the right, just in case there was any danger. Teach Zhang Liao and Su Chu in front, Su Huang and Eugene in the back.
“操自引诸将居中共5000人马，打着援军旗号，军士皆束草覆心，人衔枚，马勒口。黄昏时分，望乌巢尽发。是夜星光满天。”
Chao himself led the generals to the center, a total of 5,000 troops, under the banner of Yuan's army. The sergeants were all paid in bundles of grass, each with a title, and the horses were tied to their mouths. At dusk, they marched towards Wuchao. It's a night full of stars.
且说沮授被袁绍拘禁在军中，是夜阴见众星朗烈，乃命监者引出中庭，仰观天象。忽见太白逆行，侵犯牛斗之分，大惊曰：“或将至矣。”
It is said that Jusho was detained in the army by Yuan Shao because he saw many stars shining brightly at night, so he ordered his prisoner to lead him out of the atrium to watch the sky. Suddenly he saw Tai Bai walking backwards and invading the division between Niu and Dou. He was shocked and said, "Disaster is coming."
遂连夜求见袁绍、石绍以醉卧，听说沮授有密事启报，唤入问之。授曰：“事观天象，见太白逆行于柳、癸之间，流光射入牛、斗之分。”
So he asked to see Yuan Shao all night, but Shao was already drunk and lying down. Hearing that Zhu Shou had reported something secret, he called him in to ask. The professor said, "Looking at the celestial phenomena, I saw Tai Bai moving retrograde between willows and ghosts, and the stream of light shot into the divisions between oxen and doe." 恐有贼兵劫掠之害乌巢屯粮之所，不可不提备。宜速遣精兵猛将，于见到山路寻绍，免为曹操所算。绍怒斥曰：“汝乃得罪之人。” There is a fear that thieves may plunder the place where Wu Chao collects food, so we must be prepared. It is advisable to quickly send out elite soldiers and strong generals to patrol the mountain roads of Jiandao to avoid Cao Cao's calculations. Shao was angry and scolded, "You are the one who has offended."
何敢妄言惑众？因斥监者曰：“吾令汝居求之，何敢放出？”遂命斩监者，别换人监押沮授。授出，眼泪叹曰：“我君王在旦夕。”
How dare you make false statements and confuse the public? Because the prisoner reprimanded him and said, I ordered you to imprison him. How dare you release him?" Then he ordered the prisoner to be beheaded, and not to call anyone to imprison Juju. After giving it to him, he covered his tears and sighed, "Our army is about to die."
我师还不知落何处，也后人有诗叹曰：“逆耳忠言反见丑，独夫袁绍少计谋。吴朝粮尽根基拔，犹豫区区守冀州。”却说曹操领兵夜行。
I don't know where my corpse has fallen, and later generations have a poem that sighs. I have been betrayed by my honest advice, but I have become enemies. My only man, Yuan Shao Shao, is cunning. Wu Chao's grain foundation has been completely uprooted, but he still wants to defend Jizhou. But it was said that Cao Cao led his troops to march at night.
前过袁绍别寨寨兵，问是何处军马。操使人应曰：“蒋其奉命往乌巢护粮。”袁军见是自家旗号，遂不疑惑。凡过数处，皆诈称蒋其之兵。
The soldiers who passed by Yuan Shao's stronghold asked where the soldiers and horses were. Chao's envoy responded, Jiang Qi was ordered to go to Wu Chao to protect food. Yuan Jun saw that it was his own banner, so he was not doubtful. Anyone who passes by several places is falsely called Jiang Qi's soldiers.
兵无阻碍，即到乌巢，4更已尽。操教军士将树草周围举火，众将校鼓噪直入。时淳于琼芳与众将饮了酒，醉卧帐中，闻鼓噪之声，连忙跳起问
There is no obstacle to reaching Wu Chao, and the 4th watch has been completed. The drill sergeants set fire to the area around Sakshou, and the generals marched in with loud noises. At that time, Qinyu Qiongfang and other generals drank wine and lay drunk in the tent. Hearing the noise, he jumped up and asked,
何故喧闹言未已，早被挠钩拖翻。虽缘尽，赵瑞运粮方回，见屯上火起，急来救应。曹军飞报曹操，说：“贼兵在后，请分军拒之。”
Why are you so noisy? They were dragged over by scratching hooks long ago. Sui Yuanjin and Zhao Rui were just returning from transporting grain. When they saw a fire breaking out in the village, they rushed to rescue them. Chao Jun flew to report to Cao Cao, saying, "The thieves are behind. Please separate your troops to resist them."
操大喝曰：“诸将只顾奋力向前，待贼至背后，方可回战。”于是众军向无不争先掩杀。一霎时，火焰四起，烟迷太空。虽赵二将驱兵来救。
Cao Cao yelled, "The generals just push forward and wait until the thieves are behind them before they can fight back." so all the generals rushed to cover and kill them first. In an instant, flames burst out and smoke filled the space. Generals Sui and Zhao came to rescue them.
操勒马回战二将抵敌不住，皆被曹军所杀，粮草尽行烧绝。淳于琼被擒见操，操命割去其耳鼻手指，缚于马上，放回少营以辱之。
Chao reined up his horse and returned to fight. The two generals were unable to resist the enemy. They were all killed by Chao's army, and all their food and grass were burned. Chunyu Cheong was captured and saw Chao. Chao ordered his ears, nose, and fingers to be cut off, tied to a horse, and returned to Shaoying to humiliate him.
却说袁绍在帐中闻报，正北上火光满天，知是乌巢有失，即出帐召文武各官，商议遣兵往救。张合曰：“某与高览同往救之。”郭图曰：
But Yuan Shao heard the report in his tent that the sky was full of fire heading north, and he knew that Wu Chao was missing. He hurriedly went out of the tent to summon civil and military officials to discuss sending troops to rescue. Zhang Yi said, "I went to rescue him with Gao Lan." Guo Tu said,
不可曹军劫粮，曹操必然亲往。操既自出，寨彼空虚，可纵兵先击曹操之寨。操闻之，必速还。此孙便围魏救赵之计也。张台曰：“非也。”
Chao's army must not rob food. Chao must go there himself. Since Chao has left, the stronghold will be empty. You can send troops to attack Chao's stronghold first. When Chao hears about it, he will return quickly. This is Sun Bin's plan to surround Wei and rescue Zhao. Zhang Tai said, "No."
曹操多谋外出，必为内备，以防不虞。今若攻操营而不拔，穷等贱货，吴蜀皆被擒矣。郭图曰：“曹操只顾劫粮，岂留兵在寨也？”
Chao was always prepared when he went out, just in case something unexpected happened. If we attack Chao camp now and fail to pull it out, Cheong and others will be captured, and all of my family will be captured. Guo Tu said, Chao only cares about robbing food, so why don't he leave troops in the stronghold?
再三请节曹营哨，乃遣张合、高览引军5000往官渡击曹营，前蒋其领兵1万往救乌巢。且说曹操杀散淳于琼部律，尽夺其衣甲旗帜。
After repeated requests to rob Chaoying, Shao sent Zhang He and Gao Lan to lead an army of 5,000 to Guandu to attack Chaoying. He sent Jiang Qi to lead an army of 10,000 to rescue Wu Chao. Let's say that Cao Cao killed Chunyu-cheong's troops and took away all their clothes, armor, and flags.
"委作淳于琼部下，收军回寨至山僻小路，正欲讲其军马。其军问之，称是乌巢败军奔回，其遂不疑，驱马径过。张辽、许褚呼至，大喝。"
Pretending that Chunyu-cheong's men had withdrawn their troops and returned to the stronghold, they reached a remote mountain road and met Jiang Qi's army and horses. When Qi Jun asked about it, he said that it was Wu Chao's defeated army running back. Qi Sui did not doubt it and drove his horse past. Zhang Liao and Su Chu suddenly arrived and shouted,
"蒋其修走其措手不及，被张辽斩于马下，尽杀蒋其之兵。又使人当先伪报云，蒋其已自杀散乌巢兵了。袁绍因不复遣人接应乌巢。"
Jiang Qishou was caught off guard and was beheaded by Zhang Liao, killing all Jiang Qi's soldiers. He also sent a false report in advance. Jiang Qi has committed suicide and dispersed Wu Chao's troops. Yuan Shao stopped sending people to rescue Wu Chao.
"指天兵往官渡，却说张合、高览攻打曹营，左边夏侯惇，右边曹仁，中路曹洪一齐冲出，三下攻击，援军大败。比及接应军到。"
He only added more troops to Guandu, but said that Zhang He and Gao Lan attacked Chao Ying. Xiahou Dun on the left, Chao Ren on the right, and Chao Hong in the middle rushed out together. After 3 attacks, Yuan Jun was defeated. When the supporting troops arrive,
"曹操又从背后杀来，4下围住掩杀。张台、高览夺路走脱。袁绍收得乌巢败残军马归寨，见淳于琼耳鼻皆无，手足尽落。绍问如何失了乌巢。
Cao Cao came from behind and surrounded and killed him. Zhang Tai and Gao Lan escaped. Yuan Shao collected the remnants of Wu Chao's defeated army and returned to the stronghold. He saw that Chunyu-cheong had no ears or nose, and all his limbs were missing. Shao asked, "How did you lose the Wu Chao?"
"败军告说淳于琼醉卧，因此不能抵敌。绍怒，力斩之。郭图恐张台、高览回寨正对是非，先于袁绍前赠曰：张台、高览见主公兵败。"
The defeated army reported that Chunyu-cheong was drunk and lying down, so he could not resist the enemy. Shao was angry and immediately beheaded him. Guo Tu was afraid that Zhang Tai and Gao Lan would return to the stronghold to prove right and wrong, so he preceded Yuan Shao and said, "Zhang Tai and Gao Lan saw that our lord was defeated.
心中必喜，少曰：何出此言？徒曰：二人素有降曹之意，今遣击寨，故意不肯用力，以致损折士卒。少大怒，遂遣使急召二人归寨问罪。
Shao must be happy in his heart and say, Why do you say this? Tu said, The two of them have always wanted to surrender to Cao Cao. Now they sent to attack the stronghold and deliberately refused to use force, thereby damaging the soldiers. Shao was furious, so he sent an envoy to summon the two men. The man returned to the village to question the crime.
郭图先使人报二人云：主公将杀汝矣。及少使至，高览问曰：主公唤我等为何？使者曰：不知何故。览遂拔剑斩来使。台大惊。览曰：
Guo-Tuxian sent someone to tell them, My lord is going to kill you. When Shao's envoy arrived, Gao Lan asked, Why did the Lord call us? The envoy said, I don't know why. Lan then drew his sword and killed the envoy. Tai was shocked. Viewed.
袁绍听信谗言，必为曹操所擒，吾等岂可坐而待死？不如去投曹操。太曰：吾亦有此心久矣。于是二人领本部兵马往曹操寨中投降。
Yuan Shao will be captured by Cao Cao after listening to the slander. How can we just sit and wait for death? Why not go and surrender to Cao Cao? Tai said, I have had this intention for a long time. So the two led their troops and surrendered to Cao Cao's stronghold.
夏侯惇曰：张、高二人来降，谓之虚实。操曰：吾以恩遇之，虽有一心，亦可变矣。遂开营门，命二人入。二人倒戈卸甲，拜伏于地。操曰：
Xiahou Dun said, Zhang and Gao came to surrender, but we don't know whether they are true or not. Cao Cao said, I met them with kindness. Although I have different intentions, it can be changed. Then he opened the camp gate and ordered the two men to enter. The two turned against each other, took off their armor, and prostrated themselves on the ground. Cao said,
若使袁绍肯从二将军之言，不至有败。今二将军肯来相投，如微子去殷，韩信归汉也。遂封张台为偏将军、都亭侯，高览为偏将军、东莱侯。
If Yuan Shao is willing to follow the advice of the two generals, he will not be defeated. Now the two generals are willing to come and join forces, just like Wei Zi went to Yin, and Han Xian returned to Han. Then Zhang Tai was named a partial general and Duding Hao, and Gao Lan was named a partial general. General, Marquis of Dong Lai.
二人大喜，却说袁绍既去了许攸，又去了章台、高览，又失了乌巢梁，军心惶惶。许攸又劝曹操作速进兵，章台、高览请为先锋，操从之。
The two were overjoyed, but they said that Yuan Shao had gone to Suyu, Zhang Tai, and Gao Lan, and had lost Wu Chaoliang, so the morale of the army was very low. Suyu also advised Cao Cao to advance quickly. Zhang Tai and Gao Lan invited Cao Cao to be the vanguard. Cao Cao followed them.
即令章台、高览领兵往结绍寨。当夜3更时分，出军3路结寨，混战到明，各自收兵。绍军折其大半。荀攸献计曰：“今可扬言调拨人马。”
He immediately ordered Zhang Tai and Gao Lan to lead his troops to rob Shao village. At the third watch of the night, the army went out to rob the stronghold on 3 routes. After a melee until the Ming dynasty, each of them withdrew their troops, and Shao's army lost most of it. Sun Yu proposed a plan and said, "Now we can threaten to mobilize the troops."
一路取酸枣攻叶郡，一路取黎阳，断援兵归路。袁绍闻之，必然惊惶，分兵拒我。我乘其兵动时击之，少可破也。操用其计，使大小3军。
Take Jujube along the way to attack Yi County. Take Liang all the way to cut off Yuan's army's return route. When Yuan Shao hears this, he will definitely be frightened and divide his troops to resist me. If I take advantage of his troops to move and attack them, Shao can defeat them. Shao used his tactics to control the 3 armies, large and small.
4远扬言绍军闻此信，来寨中报说，曹操分兵2路，一路取叶郡，一路取黎阳去也。绍大惊，即遣袁谭分兵5万救叶郡。
Siyuan threatened Shao's army after hearing this news and came to the stronghold to report. Cao Cao divided his troops into 2 groups, one to take Yi County and the other to Liang. Shao was shocked and sent Yuan Tan to divide 50,000 troops to rescue Yi County.
新明分兵5万救黎阳，连夜起行。曹操探知袁绍兵动，便分大队军马8路齐出，直冲绍营。袁军俱无斗志，四散奔走，遂大溃。
Xian Ming divided 50,000 troops and set off overnight to rescue Liang. Cao Cao found out that Yuan Shao's troops were moving, so he divided his troops into large groups and marched straight to Shao's camp in 8 directions. Yuan's army had no fighting spirit, scattered in all directions, and was defeated.
袁绍披甲不迭单衣服巾上马，幼子袁尚后随。张辽、许褚、徐晃、于禁4员将引军追赶袁绍。 少即渡河，尽弃图书车仗金帛。
Yuan Shao wore no more armor than a single robe and a scarf and mounted his horse. His youngest son Yuan Shang followed behind. For generals, Zhang Liao, Su Chu, Su Huang, and Eugene led their troops to pursue Yuan Shao. Shao was in a hurry to cross the river, abandoning all his books, chariots, weapons, gold and silk.
只引随行800余骑而去，操军追之不及，尽获一下之物，所杀8万余人，血流银沟，溺水死者不计其数。操获全胜，将所得金宝缎匹。
Jin went with more than 800 cavalry, but Chao Jun failed to catch up and captured everything he had left behind. More than 80,000 people were killed, the ditches filled with blood, and countless people drowned. He won a complete victory and took the gold, treasure, and satin. 给赏军士于图书中检出书信一数，皆许读及军中诸人与少暗通之书。左右曰：可逐一点对姓名，收而杀之。操曰：当少之强。 The sergeant was rewarded and found a bunch of letters in the book, all of which were written by Su Du and other people in the army who had secretly communicated with Shao. The left and right said, "You can check the names one by one, collect them and kill them." Qiao Qiao said, "When Shao is strong." 孤亦不能自保况他人乎？遂命尽焚之，更不再问。却说袁绍兵败而奔，沮授因被囚禁，急走不脱，为曹军所获，擒见曹操。操素与授相识。If I can't protect myself, how about others? Then he was ordered to be burned, and no more questions were asked. However, it was said that Yuan Shao was defeated and ran away. Jushu was imprisoned and could not escape in a hurry. He was captured by Chao's army and captured Cao Cao. Cao Su and Shuo knew each other. 授见操大呼曰：“授不降也。”操曰：“本初无谋，不用君言，君何上执迷也？吾若早得足下，天下不足虑也。因后待之，留于军中。” When the professor saw Cao Cao, he shouted, "I won't surrender." Cao Cao said, "I had no plan at first, so I don't need your words. Why are you so stubborn? If I had taken the step earlier, the world would not have had any worries. Because he was treated kindly, stay in the military." 授乃于营中盗马欲归原氏，操怒，乃杀之。授至死神色不变。操叹曰：“吾误杀忠义之士也。”命后礼并列，为建坟安葬于黄河渡口，题其墓曰 Jinai stole a horse in the camp and wanted to return it to the Yuan family. If you are angry, you will kill him. His expression remained unchanged until death. Chao sighed and said, I accidentally killed a loyal and righteous man. He ordered him to carry out a funeral with generous ceremony, built a tomb and buried him at the ferry of the Yellow River. He inscribed his tomb saying,
忠烈举军之墓，后人有诗赞曰：河北多名士，忠贞推举军。凝眸之阵法，仰面识天文。至死心如铁，临危气似云。曹公亲义烈。
There are poems from descendants praising the tomb of Lord Zhongliaju, saying, There are many famous people in Hebei who loyally recommend Lord Zhu. They know the formations with their eyes and know the astronomy with their heads raised. Their heart is as strong as iron until death, and their energy is like clouds when facing danger. Chao Gong Qinilia.
"特与建孤坟，操下令攻冀州。正是士弱只因多算胜，兵强却为寡谋亡。未知胜负如何，且看下文分解。"第31回，曹操仓亭破本出。
Specially and Jiangufan Chao ordered to attack Jizhou. It's exactly this. A weak force can win because of the many, but a strong army can be destroyed by a small number of people. We don't know how to win or lose. Let's see the breakdown below. Chapter 31, Chao Chao Tsangting breaks the original chapter.
玄德荆州一流表，却说曹操乘袁绍之败，整顿军马，以礼追袭。袁绍服金单衣，引800余骑，奔至黎阳北岸。大将蒋义渠出寨迎接。
Xuanda Jingzhou Ilio Biao said that Cao Cao took advantage of Yuan Shao's defeat to reorganize his army and pursue him in a meandering way. Yuan Shao, wearing a scarf and single clothes, led more than 800 horses to the north bank of Liang. General Jiang Yizu came out of the stronghold to greet him.
绍以前世素与义渠乃遭遇离散之众，众闻绍在，又皆已惧。军士复阵，亦还冀州。军行之次，夜宿荒山。绍于帐中，闻远远有哭声。
In the past, Shao told Yizu and Yizu was to summon the scattered people. When everyone heard that Shao was here, they all gathered together. The army regained strength and discussed returning to Jizhou. After the military march, we stayed overnight in the barren mountains. Shao heard crying in the distance in the tent.
遂思往听之，却是败军相聚，诉说丧兄失弟，弃伴亡亲之苦，个个捶胸大哭，皆曰：“若听田丰之言，我等怎遭此祸？”绍大悔曰：
So they went privately to listen to the meeting, but the defeated troops gathered together and told about the pain of losing brothers, abandoning companions, and losing relatives. Everyone beat their chests and cried loudly, saying, "If we had listened to Tianfeng's words, how could we have suffered this disaster?" He regretted greatly and said,
"吾不听田丰之言，兵败将亡。今回去，有何面目见之也？"次日，上马正行间，冯骥引军来接。少对冯骥曰："吾不听田丰之言，致有此败。"
"If I don't listen to Tianfeng's words, I will be defeated. How can I see my face when I go back now?" The next day, while mounting his horse and walking, he led the army to pick him up according to the rules. Xiao said to Feng Ji, "I did not listen to Tianfeng's words, which led to this defeat."
"吾今归去，修见此人。"冯骥因赠曰："封在狱中闻主公兵败，抚掌大笑曰："果不出吾之料。"袁绍大怒曰："庶如怎敢笑我？我必杀之。"
"I am ashamed to see this person when I return now." Feng Ji said in disbelief. When Feng heard about the defeat of his lord in prison, he put his palms in his hands and laughed loudly and said, "The result is just as I expected." Yuan Shao was furious and said, "How dare you laugh at me? I will kill him."
遂命使者击宝剑，先往冀州狱中杀田丰，却说田丰在狱中。一日，狱吏来见丰曰："与别驾贺喜。"丰曰："何喜可贺？"狱吏曰：
Then he ordered the envoy to go to Jizhou prison with a sword to kill Tianfeng, but he said that Tianfeng was in prison. One day, the jailer came to see Feng and said, "Congratulations to others." Feng said, "How happy are you to congratulate me?" The jailer said,
"袁将军大败而回军，必见众矣。"丰笑曰："吾今死矣。"狱吏问曰："人皆为君喜，君何言死也？"丰曰："袁将军外宽而内忌，不念忠诚。"
General Yuan is defeated and returns to you. You must see him again. Feng said with a smile, "I am dead now." The jailer asked, "Everyone is happy for you. Why do you want to die?" Feng said, "General Yuan, except for tolerant but taboo within, do not care about loyalty."
"若胜而喜，犹能赦我；今战败则休，吾不忘生矣。"狱吏未信。忽使者击剑至，传袁绍命，欲取田丰之首。狱吏方惊。丰曰："吾故之必死也。"
If you win and feel happy, you can forgive me. If you lose now, you will be ashamed, and I have no hope of living. The jailer didn't believe it. Suddenly an envoy arrived with a sword and told Yuan Shao that he wanted to take Tianfeng's head, but the jailer was shocked. Feng said, "I know that I will die."
玉立皆流泪风月，大丈夫生于天地间，不识其主而视之，是无志也。今日受死，夫何足惜？乃自刎于狱中。后人有诗曰：
The jailers all shed tears and said, "It is unwise for a man to serve his master without knowing his master when he is born in heaven and earth. How can I regret dying today?" He committed suicide in prison. There is a poem from later generations that says,
昨朝举授军中师，今日田丰狱内亡。河北栋梁皆折断，本出焉不丧家邦。田丰既死，闻者皆为叹息。袁绍回冀州，心烦意乱。
Yesterday, Joshua was lost in the army. Today, Tianfeng is dead in prison. The pillars of Hebei are all broken. How can we not lose our country at this beginning? Since Tianfeng died, everyone who heard about it sighed with regret. Yuan Shao returned to Jizhou, upset.
部里正是其妻刘氏，劝立后嗣。少所生三子，长子袁谭字显思，出守青州；次子袁熙字显义，出守幽州；三子袁尚字显甫，是少后妻刘氏所出。
He ignored political affairs and his wife Lu persuaded him to have heirs. The eldest son of the three sons born to Shao, Yuan Tan, whose courtesy name was Xianxi, came to guard Qingzhou. The second son, Yuan Shi, whose courtesy name was Xianyi, came to guard Yuzhou. The third son, Yuan Shang, whose courtesy name was Xianfu, was born to Shao's wife Lu.
生得形貌俊伟，少之爱之，因此留在身边。自官渡兵败之后，刘氏劝立上为后嗣，少乃与沈佩、冯骥、辛平、郭图四人商议，原来沈、冯二人。
He was born with a handsome appearance and was loved by his beloved, so he stayed by his side. After the defeat of Guandu, the Lu family persuaded Shang to be the heir. Xianai discussed with Shenpei, Feng Ji, Xian Ping, and Guo Tuesday. It turned out that Shen and Feng were the heirs.
相府袁尚新、郭二人，相府袁谭，四人各为其主。当下袁绍谓四人曰：“今外患未息，内事不可不早定。吾将义立后嗣，长子谭为人性刚好杀。”
Xiang assisted Yuan Shangxin and Gua, and Xiang assisted Yuan Tan. Each of the four was his master. At that time, Yuan Shao said to the four of them, "Now that the external troubles have not subsided, internal affairs must be settled early. I will discuss the establishment of heirs, the eldest son Tan, who is just a man to kill for human nature."
次子熙为人柔懦难成，三子上有英雄之表，礼贤敬士，无欲立之。公等之意若何？郭图曰：三子之中，谭为长，今又居外。
The second son, Shi, is a coward and it is hard to be successful. The third son, Shang, has the appearance of a hero, respects the virtuous and respects scholars, and I want to establish him. What does fairness mean? Guo said, among the 3 sons, Tan is the eldest, but now he is the outsider.
主公若废长立幼，此乱盟也。今军威稍挫，敌兵压境，岂可复使父子兄弟自相争乱也？主公且理会拒敌之策，立嗣之事，无容多议。
If the Lord abolishes the elders and establishes the young ones, this will be so cute. Now that the army's power has been slightly weakened and the enemy's troops are pressing down on the territory, how can we let fathers, sons, and brothers fight among themselves again? My lord, please take care of the strategy of resisting the enemy and the establishment of an heir. There is no room for further discussion.
袁绍踌躇未决，忽报袁熙引兵6万自幽州来，袁谭引兵5万自青州来，外甥高干亦引兵5万自滨州来，各至冀州助战。绍写
Yuan Shao hesitated and suddenly reported that Yuan Shi had brought 60,000 troops from Yuzhou. Yuan Tan had brought 50,000 troops from Qingzhou. His nephew Gao Gan had also brought 50,000 troops from Bingzhou. Each of them went to Jizhou to help in the war. Shaoxi.
在整人马来战曹操时，操引得胜之兵陈列于河上，有土人单似湖江以迎之。操见父老数人，须发尽白，乃命入帐中赐座，问之曰：
Then he organized his troops and horses to fight Cao Cao. When Cao Cao led the victorious troops, he displayed them on the river. There were natives eating pots of slurry to welcome them. Cao Cao saw his elders and several people with white beards and hair, so he ordered them to sit in the tent and asked,
老丈多少年纪？答曰：欲近100岁矣。操曰：吾军事惊扰汝乡，无甚不安。父老曰：桓帝时有黄兴见于楚，宋之分。
How old is the old man? He replied, I want to be nearly 100 years old. Cao said, I am very uneasy because my sergeant has disturbed your hometown. My father said, during the time of Emperor Huan, yellow stars were seen in Chu and Song.
辽东人殷魁善晓天文夜宿于此，对老汉等言：黄兴见于前项，正照此间。后50年，当有真人起于良配之间。今以年计之，整整50年。
Yin Kuei, a native of Liaodong, stayed here at night at Shanshao Tianwen. He said to the old man and others, "The yellow star is seen in Xinjiang and is shining here. In the next 50 years, a real person will arise between Liang and Pei. This is a full 50 years in years."
原本除重敛于民，民皆怨之。丞相兴仁义之兵，吊民伐罪，官渡一战，破袁绍100万之众，正应当时殷魁之言：赵民可望太平矣。操笑曰
Yuan Ben-Shu was very angry with the people. The prime minister raised benevolent and righteous troops to punish the people and punish them. In the Battle of Guandu, Yuan Shao defeated millions of people. Just as Yin Kuei said at that time, the people could hope for peace. Chao laughed and said,
何敢当老丈所言，遂取90卷帛，赐老人而遣之。号令3军，如有下乡杀人加鸡犬者，如杀人之罪。于是军民振服。操亦心中暗喜。
How dare you take what the father-in-law said? Then he gave the old man wine, food, silk and sent him away. He ordered the 3 armies, "If anyone goes to the countryside to kill chickens and dogs, it will be a crime of murder." So the army and the people were shocked. Chao was secretly happy.
人报袁绍据4州之兵得20-30万，前至仓亭下寨。操提兵前进，下寨已定。次日，两军相对，各不成阵势。操引诸将出战。
It was reported that Yuan Shao had gathered troops from 4 states and obtained 200,000 to 300,000 troops, and went to Tsangding to lower his stronghold. Chao raised his troops and advanced, and the camp was decided. The next day, the 2 armies faced each other and formed their formations. Guide the generals into battle.
绍亦引3子1生及文官武将出到阵前，操曰：“本初计穷力尽，何尚不思投降？直待刀临项上，悔无及矣。”绍大怒，回顾众将曰：“谁敢出马？”
Shao also led his 3 sons and 1 nephew, as well as civil and military officers, to the front of the battle formation and said, "We have exhausted all our plans, so why not surrender? We will wait until the sword is about to strike, but we will regret it." Shao was furious and looked back at the generals. Said, "Who dares to take action?"
袁尚欲于腹前逞能，便舞双刀，飞马出阵，来往奔驰。操只问众将曰：“此何人？”有使者答曰：“此袁绍3子袁尚也。”言未毕，一将挺枪早出。
Yuan Shang wanted to show off his talents in front of his father, so he danced his swords and flew his flying horses back and forth. Chao pointed his finger and asked the generals, "Who is this?" A knowledgeable person replied, "This is Yuan Shang, the third son of Yuan Shao." Before he finished speaking, one of the generals came out early with a spear.
操师之乃徐晃部将史涣也。两骑相交，不三合，上拨马刺斜而走。史涣赶来，袁绍拈弓搭箭，翻身被射，正中史涣左目，坠马而死。
Cao Cao regarded it as Su Huang's general Shi Huan. The two horses crossed each other, but they did not join forces. They still moved their spurs and walked diagonally. When Shi Huan arrived, Yuan Shang picked up his bow and arrow, turned over and shot from behind, hitting Shi Huan's left eye, causing him to fall off his horse and die.
袁绍见子得胜，挥鞭一指，大队人马拥将过来，混战大杀一场，各鸣金收军还寨。操与诸将商议破绍之策，程昱献十面埋伏之计。
When Yuan Shao saw his son's victory, he waved his whip, and a large group of men and horses came over. They fought in a melee and killed each other. They all paid gold and returned to the stronghold. Cao Cao discussed with the generals how to defeat Shao. Qing Yu proposed a plan of ambush from 10 sides.
劝操退军于河上，伏兵10队。 右少追至河上，我军无退路，必将死战，可胜少矣。操然其计，左右各分5队，左1队夏侯惇，2队张辽。
He persuaded Chao to retreat and ambush 10 troops on the river, and lured Shao to pursue him on the river. Our army has no way to retreat and will fight to the death. We can defeat Shao. Chao succeeded in his plan. There are 5 teams on the left and right. Left, Xiahou Dun of the first team, Zhang Liao of the second team.
3队李典，4队乐进，5队夏侯渊，右1队曹洪，2队张合，3队徐晃，4队于禁，5队高览。中军许褚为先锋。次日，10队先进。
Li Dian of the third team, Lu Jin of the fourth team, Xia Hoyuan of the fifth team, right, Chao Hong of the first team, Zhang He of the second team, Su Huang of the third team, Yu Ban of the fourth team, and Gao Lan of the fifth team. Su Chu of the Chinese army was the vanguard. The next day, the 10th team advanced.
埋伏左右已定至半夜，操令许褚引兵前进，委作劫寨之事。袁绍5寨人马一齐聚起，许褚回军便凿。袁绍引军赶来，喊声不绝，比及天明。
The ambush was set until midnight, and Chao ordered Su Chu to lead his troops forward, pretending to rob the stronghold. The men and horses of Yuan Shao's 5 villages all rose up together. Su Chu returned to the army and left. Yuan Shao led his troops to come, shouting incessantly, until dawn.
赶至河上，曹军无去路。操大呼曰：“前无去路，诸军何不死战？”众军回身，奋力向前。许褚飞马当先，力斩10数将。援军大乱，袁绍退军急回。
When they reached the river, Chao's army had no way to go. Cao Cao shouted, "There is no way forward. Why don't all the troops fight to the death?" All the troops turned around and fought hard to move forward. Su Chu took the lead with his flying horse and killed dozens of generals with all his strength. Yuan Jun was in chaos. Yuan Shao retreated and returned in a hurry.
背后曹军赶来，正行间，一声鼓响，左边夏侯渊，右边高览，两军冲出。袁绍惧三子一声，死冲血路奔走。又行不到10里，左边乐进。
From behind, Chao Jun came to the middle of the line. With a sound of drums, Xia Hoyuan on the left and Gao Lan on the right rushed out. Yuan Shao gathers his 3 sons and 1 nephew and runs on a bloody road. After traveling less than 10 miles, Lejin came to the left.
右边于禁杀出，杀得援军尸横遍野，血流成渠。又行不到数里，左边李典，右边徐晃，两军截杀一阵。袁绍父子胆丧心惊，奔入旧寨，令3军造反。
Eugene on the right came out and killed Yuan Jun. Corpses were scattered all over the field, and blood flowed into canals. Within a few miles, Li Jian on the left and Su Huang on the right intercepted and killed each other. Yuan Shao and his son were frightened and rushed into the old village. Order the 3 armies to make food.
方玉待时，左边张辽，右边张合进来冲寨。少慌上马，前奔仓亭。人马困乏，欲待歇息。后面曹操大军赶来，袁绍舍命而走。正行之间，
When Fang wanted to wait for food, Zhang Liao was on the left and Zhang He was on the right. They came to the stronghold directly. Shao panicked, mounted his horse, and rushed to Tsangting. The men and horses were tired and wanted to rest. Cao Cao's army came from behind, and Yuan Shao sacrificed his life and left. Between the right things.
右边曹洪，左边夏侯惇挡住去路。邵大呼曰：“若不决此战，必为所擒矣。”奋力冲突，得脱重围。袁熙、高干皆被箭伤，军马死亡殆尽。
Chao Hong on the right and Xiahou Dun on the left blocked the way. Xiao shouted. Qiao Hong on the right and Xiahou Dun on the left blocked the way. Xiao shouted, "If we don't fight to the death, we will be captured." He fought hard and escaped from the siege. Yuan Shi and Gao Gan were both wounded by arrows. All the troops and horses died.
少豹三子痛哭一场，不觉昏倒。众人急救，少口吐鲜血不止，叹曰：“吾自力战数十场，不意今日狼狈至此，此天丧吾也。汝等各回本州。”
Xiao hugged his 3 sons and cried bitterly until he fainted. Everyone tried to give first aid, but Xiao kept vomiting blood and sighed, "I have fought dozens of battles, but I didn't expect to be in this embarrassing situation today. I will be mourned today. You all go back to your home state."
是与曹贼一决雌雄，便剿新平。郭图火急随袁谭前往青州整顿，恐曹操犯境，令袁熙仍回幽州，高干仍回滨州，各去收拾人马，以备调用。
Xianping and Guotu hurriedly followed Yuan Tan to Qingzhou to rectify the situation, vowing to fight Cao Cao's thieves. They were afraid that Cao Cao would invade the country. They ordered Yuan Shi to return to Yuzhou and the senior officials to return to Bingzhou. Each went to pack up his men and horses in preparation for deployment.
袁绍引袁尚等入冀州，养病令上于沈沛、冯骥暂掌军事。却说曹操自仓亭大胜，重赏3军，令人探查冀州虚实。细作回报，绍卧病在床。
Yuan Shao introduced Yuan Shang and others to Jizhou to recuperate, and ordered Shang to be paired with Shen, and he was temporarily in charge of the military. But it was said that Cao Cao won a great victory from Tsangding and rewarded the 3 armies heavily. People were asked to explore the reality of Jizhou. A detailed report: Shao is ill in bed.
袁尚、沈沛紧守城池，袁谭、袁熙、高干皆回本州，众皆劝操急攻之。操曰：“冀州粮食极广，沈沛又有计谋，未可急拔。现今何价在田？”
Yuan Shang was sent to guard the city closely. Yuan Tan, Yuan Shi, and Gao Gan all returned to their hometown. Everyone advised Cao to attack urgently. Cao said, "Jizhou has a vast area of food, and there is a lot of planning in planning, so we should not attack in a hurry. Now the crops are in the fields."
恐费民夜孤待秋成后，取之未晚。正义间，忽荀彧有书到，报说刘备在汝南得刘辟，攻都数万之众。闻丞相提军出征河北，乃令刘辟守汝南。
I'm afraid it's not too late to waste the people's business until the autumn is completed. During the discussion, suddenly a letter from Sun Yu arrived, reporting, Liu Bei has captured tens of thousands of people from Liu Pai and Gong in Runan. After hearing that the Prime Minister proposed an army expedition to Hebei, he ordered Liu Pai to guard Runan.
被亲自引兵乘虚来攻许昌丞相，可速回军御之。操大惊，留曹洪屯兵河上，虚张声势。操自提大兵往汝南来迎刘备。却说玄德与关张
Bei personally led troops to take advantage of the weakness to attack Xuchang. Prime Minister can quickly return to the army to defend him. Chao was shocked and left Chao Hong to garrison the troops on the river, bluffing. Chao himself led his troops to Runan to meet Liu Bei. But Xuanda and Guan, Zhang, and
赵云等引兵欲袭许都，行进穰山地面，正遇曹兵杀来，玄德便于穰山下寨，军分三队，云长屯兵于东南角上，张飞屯兵于西南角上。
Zhao Yun and others led troops to attack Shudu. As they approached the ground of Rangshan Mountain, they encountered Chao's soldiers coming to kill them. Xuanda went to the base of Rangshan Mountain and divided his army into 3 groups. Yunchang stationed his troops at the southeast corner, and Zhang Fei stationed his troops at the southwest corner.
玄德与赵云于正南力寨，曹操兵至，玄德鼓噪而出。操不成阵势，叫玄德打话。玄德出马于门旗下。操以鞭指骂曰：“吾待汝为上宾。”
Xuanda and Zhao Yun set up a stronghold in the south. When Cao Cao's troops arrived, Xuanda came out making noise. Cao formed a formation and asked Xuanda to speak. Xuanda took action under his banner. Cao pointed his whip at him and scolded him, "I treat you as a distinguished guest."
"汝何背义忘恩？"玄德曰："汝托名汉相，实为国贼。吾乃汉室宗亲，奉天子密诏来讨反哉！"遂于马上朗诵衣带诏。操大怒，叫许褚出战。
Why are you betraying your righteousness and being ungrateful? Xuanda said, "You pretend to be the prime minister of the Han dynasty, but you are actually a traitor to the country. I am a clan member of the Han dynasty, and I have received a secret edict from the emperor to punish the traitors." Then he immediately recited the edict on clothes and belts. Cao Cao was furious and taught Su Chu to fight.
"玄德背后赵云挺枪出马，2将相交30合，不分胜负。忽然喊声大震，东南角上云长冲突而来，西南角上张飞引军冲突而来，3处一起掩杀。
Behind Xuanda, Zhao Yunting fired his gun and the 2 generals met for 30 times, regardless of the outcome. Suddenly there was a loud shout, and Yunchang clashed from the southeast corner. From the southwest corner, Zhang Fei led his troops to clash. The three places were covered together.
曹军远来疲困，不能抵挡，大败而走。玄德得胜回营。次日，又使赵云诺战，操兵旬日不出。玄德再使张飞诺战，操兵亦不出。玄德欲疑。
Cao Cao's army was exhausted from afar and could not resist, so they fled in defeat. Xuanda returned to camp in victory. The next day, Zhao Yun was asked to fight again. The soldiers will not go out for 10 days. Xuanda asked Zhang Fei to fight again, but he would not go out to fight. Xuanda became more and more suspicious.
"忽报公都运粮，至被曹军围住。玄德急令张飞去救。忽又报夏侯惇引军超背后，径取汝南。玄德大惊曰：若如此，吾前后受敌，无所归矣。
Suddenly it was reported that Gong Du was transporting grain and was surrounded by Chao's army. Xuanda urgently ordered Zhang Fei to rescue him. Suddenly, it was reported that Xiahou Dun had led his troops to attack Runan from behind. Xuanda was shocked and said, "If this is the case, I will be attacked from the front and back, and I will have nowhere to return."
"即遣云长就知两军皆去。不一日，飞马来报夏侯惇已打破汝南，刘辟弃城而走。云长现今被围。玄德大惊，又报张飞去救公都，也被围住了。
Yunchang was urgently sent to rescue both armies. Not one day later, Pegasus came to report to Xia that Hou Dun had broken through Runan. Lu Pai abandoned the city and left. Yunchang was now surrounded. Xuanda was shocked. He also reported to Zhang Fei to rescue Gong Du, but he was also surrounded.
"玄德急欲回兵，又恐操兵后袭，忽报寨外许褚诺战。玄德不敢出战，后至天明，叫军士饱餐，步军先起，马军后随，寨中虚传更点。
Xuanda was eager to return his troops but was afraid of attacking from behind. Suddenly it was reported that Su Chu was planning to fight outside the stronghold. Xuanda did not dare to go out to fight. He waited until dawn and taught the soldiers to have a good meal. The infantry army started first, followed by the cavalry army. There was a false message in the camp.
"玄德等离寨约行数里，转过土山，火把齐鸣，山头上大呼曰：休教走了刘备！丞相在此专等。玄德慌寻走路。赵云曰：主公勿忧。
Xuanda and others walked about a few miles from the stronghold and turned around the mountain. The torches were all bright, and a loud shout from the top of the mountain said, "Liu Bei has stopped teaching and left. The Prime Minister is waiting here." Xuanda hurriedly walked. Zhao Yun said, "My lord, don't worry."
但跟某来赵云挺枪跃马，杀开条路，玄德掣双股剑后随。正战间，许褚追至，与赵云力战，背后于禁、李典诱导，玄德见势危，落荒而走。
However, Zhao Yunting came with his spear and jumped on his horse to clear the way. Xuanda followed behind with his double-stranded sword. During the war, Su Chu pursued him and fought with Zhao Yun. Behind Eugene and Li Dian arrived again. Seeing that the situation was in danger, Xuanda left in despair.
听得背后喊声渐远，玄德望深山僻路，单马逃生。挨到天明，侧手一彪军冲出，玄德大惊，视之，乃刘辟引败军1000余骑，护送玄德家小前来。
Hearing the shouting behind him, Xuanda looked towards the remote road in the mountains and escaped on his own horse. Waiting until dawn, a large army of soldiers rushed out. Xuanda was shocked and watched as Liu Pai led more than 1,000 cavalry from the defeated army to escort Xuanda's family.
孙乾简雍糜芳议志，诉说夏侯惇军事甚锐，因此弃城而走。曹兵赶来，幸得云长挡住，因此得脱。玄德曰：“不知云长今在何处？”
Sun Xian, Jian Yong, and Mi Fang also arrived and told Xiahou Dun's army was very strong, so he abandoned the city and fled. Chao's soldiers came, but fortunately Yun Chang blocked them, so they escaped. Xuanda said, "I don't know where Yun Chang is now."
刘辟曰：“将军且行，却在理会。”行到数里，一棒鼓响，前面拥出一彪人马。当先大将乃是张台，大叫：“刘备，快下马受降！”玄德方欲退后。
Liu Pai said, "General, please go ahead and pay attention." After walking for several miles, a drum sounded and a group of people and horses came out in front. The first general, Zhang Tai, shouted, "Liu Bei, please dismount and accept the surrender." Xuanda wanted to retreat, but
「只见山头上红旗魔动一军，从山雾内拥出，为首大将乃高览也。”玄德两头无路，仰天大呼曰：“天何使我受此窘急也！事事至此，不如就死。”
I saw the red flag on the top of the mountain moving an army out of the mountain dock, led by a general named Gao Lanya. Xuanda had no way to go, so he looked up to the sky and shouted, "Why did God put me in such embarrassment?" The situation has come to this, I might as well die.
欲拔剑自刎，刘辟即止之曰：“荣谋死战，夺路救军。”言讫，便来与高览交锋。战不三合，被高览一刀砍于马下。玄德正慌，方欲自战。
When Lu Pai was about to draw his sword and kill himself, he stopped and said, "Let me fight to the death and seize the road to save you." After saying this, he came to fight with Gao Lan. The battle failed, and Gao Lan cut him off his horse with a sword. Xuanda was panicking and wanted to fight on his own.
高览后军忽然自乱一将冲阵而来，枪起处，高览翻身落马。视之，乃赵云也。玄德大喜，云纵马挺枪，杀散后队，又来前军独战章台。
Suddenly, Gao Lan's rear army came out of chaos and rushed into the formation. Where the gun was raised, Gao Lan turned over and fell from his horse. "Look at it, it's Zhao Yun." Xuanda was overjoyed. Yunzong rode his horse and drew his spear, killing the rear troops and scattering them, and then came to the front troops to fight Zhang Tai alone.
台与云战30余合，拨马败走。云乘势冲杀，却被台兵守住山隘，路窄不得出。正夺路间，只见云长、关平、周仓引300军到，两下相攻。
Tai and Yun fought together for more than 30 years and were defeated by their horses. Yun took advantage of the situation and rushed to kill, but Tai's soldiers guarded the mountain pass and the road was too narrow to get out. On the way to seize the battle, I saw Yun Chang, Guan Ping, and Zhou Tsang leading 300 troops to arrive. Attack each other twice.
杀退章台各处隘口，站住山险下寨。玄德使云长寻觅张飞，原来张飞去救公都，公都已被夏侯渊所杀，飞奋力杀退夏侯渊，以礼赶去。
Kill Zhang Tai and retreat out of the pass, occupy the dangerous mountain and go down to the stronghold. Xuanda sent Yun Chang to look for Zhang Fei. It turned out that Zhang Fei went to rescue Gong Du, but Gong Du was killed by Xia Hoyuan. Fei fought hard to fight back Xia Hoyuan, and then rushed back.
却被越进引军围住云长路，逢败军寻踪而去，杀退越进，与飞同回见玄德。人报曹军大队赶来，玄德叫孙乾等保护老小先行。玄德与关张。
However, Lu Jin led his troops to surround Yunchang Road. They met the defeated army and went away in search of their traces. They killed Lu Jin and retreated, and returned to Xuanda with Fei. When people reported that Chao's army was arriving, Xuanda taught Sun Qian and others to protect the young and old. Xuanda and Guan, Zhang.
赵云在后，且战且走。操见玄德去远，收军不敢。玄德败军不满1000，狼狈而奔。前至义将，唤土人问之，乃汉将也。玄德权且安营。
Zhao Yun was behind, fighting and leaving. When Cao Cao saw that Xuanda was far away, he closed his army and refused to catch up. Xuanda's defeated army was less than 1,000 and they ran away in confusion. Go to a river and call the natives to ask. It is the Han River. Xuanda was right to set up camp.
土人知是玄德奉献洋酒，乃聚饮于沙滩之上。玄德叹曰：“诸君皆有王佐之才，不幸跟随刘备。备之命窘，累及诸君，今日身无力追。”
The natives knew that Xuanda was offering sheep wine, so they gathered to drink on the beach. Xuanda sighed and said, "Everyone has the talent of being a king's assistant, but unfortunately he follows Liu Bei. Bei's fate is an embarrassment, which affects all of you. Today, I have no standing cone."
诚恐有误诸君等，何不弃备而投明主，以取功名乎？众皆掩面而哭。云长曰：“兄言差矣。昔日高祖与项羽争天下，硕败于羽。”
I'm afraid I'm mistaken. Why don't you abandon your preparations and join the Ming Lord in order to gain fame? Everyone covered their faces and cried. Yun Chang said, "Brother, what you said was wrong. In the past, Emperor Gaozu and Xiang Yu fought for the world and were defeated by you several times.
“后九里山一战成功，而开400年基业。胜负兵家之常，何可自挥其志？”孙乾曰：“成败有时，不可丧志。此离荆州不远。”刘景升坐镇9郡。
The successful battle at Hujiuli Mountain established a 400-year-old foundation. Victory and defeat are common among military strategists, so how can we keep our ambitions to ourselves? Sun Qian said, "Success or failure sometimes, don't lose heart. This is not far from Jingzhou. Lu Jingsheng is in charge of 9 counties."
兵强粮足，更且与公皆汉室宗亲，何不往投之？玄德曰：“但恐不容耳。”前曰：“某愿先往说之，使景升出境而迎主公。”玄德大喜。
We have a strong army and sufficient food supplies, and we are both members of the Han clan, so why not surrender to him? Xuanda said, "But I'm afraid I won't tolerate it." Qian said, "I would like to go and tell him first, so that Jingsheng can leave the country and greet the Lord." Xuanda was overjoyed.
便令孙乾兴夜往荆州道郡入见刘表。礼毕，刘表问曰：“公从玄德，何故至此？”谦曰：“刘使君天下英雄，虽兵微将寡，而志欲匡扶社稷。”
He ordered Sun Qianqing to go to Jingzhou at night to meet Liu Biao in the county. After the ceremony, Liu Biao asked, "Why did you come here from Xuanda?" Qian said, "Liu Shijun is a hero in the world. Although he has few soldiers and few generals, he is determined to help him." Sheiji.
汝南刘辟公都素无亲故，亦以死报之。明公与使君同为汉室之胄，今使君新败，欲往江东投孙仲谋。前见言曰：“不可背亲而相疏。”
Liu Pai and Gongdu of Runan had no relatives, so they repaid him with death. Ming Gong and Shijun are both members of the Han dynasty. Now Shijun has been newly defeated and wants to go to Jiangdong to surrender to Sun Zhongmo. Qian too said, "Don't turn your back on your relatives and turn away from them."
荆州刘将军李贤下世事，归之如水之投东，何况同宗乎？因此使君特使前先来拜拜，为明公命之。表大喜曰：“玄德，吾弟也。”
General Liu of Jingzhou treated the virtuous and corporal soldiers as if they were returning to the east, let alone the same clan. Therefore, your special envoy Qian came to pay homage to Bai first. Only by Ming Gong's command. He expressed great joy and said, "Xuanda is my younger brother."
久欲相会而不可得今肯会故，实为幸甚。蔡瑁赠曰：“不可。刘备先从吕布，后是曹操，尽投袁绍，皆不克中，足可见其为人。今若纳之。”
I have long wanted to meet you, but now I am willing to patronize you. I am really lucky. Kai Mao said, "No." Liu Bei first followed Lu Bu, then Cao Cao, and later Yuan Shao, but they all failed, which shows his character. If you accept it now.
曹操必加兵与我往动干戈，不如斩孙乾之首，以献曹操。操必重待主公也。孙乾正色曰：“乾非惧死之人也。刘使君忠心为国，非曹操、袁绍。”
Cao Cao will definitely add more troops to fight against me in vain. It is better to behead Sun Qian as a sacrifice to Cao Cao, and Cao Cao will treat his lord well. Sun Qian said seriously, "Qian is not a person who is afraid of death." Liu Shijun served the country loyally, and it was not Cao Cao, Yuan Shao, or「
吕布等比前此相从，不得已也。今闻刘将军汉朝苗裔，义妾同宗，故千里相投。 尔何献谗而妒贤如此也？刘表闻言，乃斥蔡瑁曰：
Lu Bu and others followed each other more than before, and had no choice but to do so. Today I heard that General Lu is a Miao descendant of the Han dynasty. He has a close friendship with the same ancestry, so we are close to each other even though we are thousands of miles apart. How can you offer slander and be so jealous of the virtuous? When Lu Biao heard this, he scolded Cai Mao and said,
吾主意已定，汝勿多言。蔡瑁残恨而出，刘表遂命孙乾先往报玄德，一面亲自出郭30里迎接。玄德见表，执礼甚恭，表亦相待甚厚。
I've made up my mind, don't say too much. Cai Mao came out in shame, so Lu Biao ordered Sun Qian to report to Xuanda first, and went out 30 miles to Gua to greet him. Xuanda saw the appearance and was very respectful in his etiquette. They also treat each other very kindly.
玄德引关张等拜见刘表，表遂与玄德等同入荆州，奋拨院宅居住。却说曹操探知玄德已往荆州投奔刘表，便欲引兵攻之。程昱曰：
Xuanda introduced Guan, Zhang, and others to visit Lu Biao, and then Biao and Xuanda went to Jingzhou and were assigned to live in a courtyard. But Cao Cao found out that Xuanda had gone to Jingzhou to defect.
袁绍未除而拒攻荆襄，倘袁绍从北而起，胜负未可知矣。不如还兵许都，养军蓄锐，待来年春暖，然后引兵先破袁绍，后取荆襄，南北之利。
Yuan Shao suddenly attacked Jingxiang before he was defeated. If Yuan Shao rises from the north, the outcome is uncertain. It is better to return troops to Shidu, strengthen the army and wait for the coming spring to warm up, and then lead the troops to defeat Yuan Shao first, and then capture Jingxiang, benefits from the north to the south.
一举可收，也操然其言，遂提兵回许都。至建安7年春正月，操复商议兴兵，先差夏侯惇、满宠镇守汝南，以拒刘表，留曹仁、荀彧守许都。
He kept his promise and raised his troops back to Shidu. In the 7th year of Jianan, in the first month of spring, Cao Cao resumed discussions on raising troops. First, Xiahou and Manchong were sent to guard Runan to resist Lu Biao. Chao Ren and Sun Yu were left to guard Shidu.
亲统大军前赴官渡屯扎。且说袁绍自旧岁感冒吐血症后，今方稍愈，商议欲攻许都。沈沛谏曰：旧岁官渡，仓亭之败，军心未振，尚当深沟高垒。
The pro-Union army went to Guandu to garrison. They said that Yuan Shao had been suffering from a cold and vomiting blood since the old year, and he was recovering a little now. They planned to attack Shidu. The judge admonished him and said, in the old years of Guandu and Sangding's defeat, the morale of the army was not boosted. There were still deep ditches and high fortresses.
以养军民之力正义间，忽报曹操进兵官渡，来攻冀州。少曰：若后兵临城下，将至壕边，然后拒敌，是以迟矣。吾当自领大军出营。袁尚曰：
While discussing how to support the army and the people, it was suddenly reported that Cao Cao was marching to Guandu to attack Jizhou. Xiao said, if we wait for the troops to approach the city, reach the edge of the trench, and then resist the enemy, it will be too late. I will lead the army myself to meet them. Yuan Shang said.
"父亲病体未全，不可远征，而愿提兵前去迎敌。少许之，遂使人往青州取袁谭，幽州取袁熙，滨州取高干，四路同破曹操。正是。
My father cannot go on an expedition until he recovers from illness. My son is willing to send troops to meet the enemy. Xiao promised, and then sent people to Qingzhou to capture Yuan Tan, Yuzhou to capture Yuan Shi, and Bingzhou to capture Gao Gan. The four groups defeated Cao Cao together. Exactly.
"才向汝南明战鼓，又从冀北动征皮。未知胜负如何，且听下文分解。第32回夺冀州袁尚争锋。
Only then did they sound the war drums to Runan, and then marched from the north of Hebei to conquer the army. We don't know the outcome. Let's listen to the breakdown below. The 32nd recapture of Jizhou and Yuan Shang's battle.
"绝章和许攸献计，却说袁尚自斩使唤之后，自负其勇，不待袁谭等兵至，自引兵数万出黎阳，与曹军前队相迎。张辽当先出马，袁尚挺枪来战。
Siyu offered his plan to conquer the Zhang River, but he said that Yuan Shang was proud of his bravery since he killed Shi Huan, so he led tens of thousands of troops out of Liang to meet Chao's front line without waiting for Yuan Tan and other troops to arrive. Zhang Liao took the lead and Yuan Shang came to fight with his spear.
"不三河价格遮拦不住，大败而走。张辽乘势掩杀，袁尚不能主张，急引军奔回冀州。袁绍闻袁尚败回，又受了一惊，旧病复发，吐血数斗。
Unable to stop him without any barriers, he fled in defeat. Zhang Liao took advantage of the situation to cover up the attack, but Yuan Shang could not take action and hurriedly led his army back to Jizhou. When Yuan Shao heard that Yuan Shang was defeated, he was shocked again. His old illness relapsed and he vomited blood several times.
昏倒在地，刘夫人慌救入卧内，病势渐危。刘夫人急请沈佩、冯骥，直至袁绍榻前，商议后事。绍但以手指而不能言。刘夫人曰
Mrs. Liu fainted on the ground and hurriedly rescued her into the bedroom. Her condition was becoming critical. Mrs. Liu urgently asked for the review and discipline, and went to Yuan Shao's bed to discuss his future affairs. Shao Dan could not speak with his fingers. Mrs. Liu said,
尚可记后嗣否？少点头。沈佩便就榻前写了遗嘱。少翻身大叫一声，又吐血斗鱼而死。后人有诗曰：“累世公卿立大名，少年意气自纵横。”
The heir can still be succeeded, Shao Shao nodded. The judge wrote a will in front of the bed. Shao turned over and screamed, then vomited blood and died. There is a poem from later generations that says, "For many generations, the ministers have established great names, and the young man is full of ambition."
空招俊杰3000客，漫有英雄100万兵。杨志虎皮弓不就，凤毛鸡胆事难成。更怜一种伤心处，家难徒言两弟兄。袁绍既死，沈佩等主持丧事。
3,000 heroes are summoned from the air, and there are millions of heroes. A sheep's skin and a tiger's skin can't accomplish anything, and a chicken with phoenix feathers can't accomplish anything. What's more pity is that the two brothers are in a sad situation. When Yuan Shao died, Shen Pei and others presided over the funeral.
刘夫人便将袁绍所爱宠妾5人进行杀害，又恐其因魂于九泉之下，再与绍相见，乃昆其发，刺其面，毁其尸，其妒恶如此。袁尚恐宠妾家属为害。
Mrs. Liu then killed all 5 of Yuan Shao's beloved concubines, fearing that their ghosts would meet Shao again under the 9 springs. So she cut their hair, stabbed their faces, and destroyed their corpses. She was so jealous. Yuan Shang was afraid that his concubine's family would be harmed.
并收而杀之沈佩。冯骥立袁尚为大司马将军，领冀、青、幽，并祀周穆，遣使报丧。此时袁谭已发兵离青州，知父死，便与郭图、辛平商议。
He collected and killed Shen Pei, and appointed Yuan Shang as the great Sima general. He led the pastoralists of Ji, Qing, Yu, and the 4 prefectures, and sent envoys to report the funeral. At this time, Yuan Tan had sent troops to leave Qingzhou. Knowing that his father was dead, he discussed with Guo Tu and Xian Ping.
图曰：主公不在冀州，沈沛、冯骥必立贤辅为主矣，当速行。辛平曰：沈、冯二人必预定计谋，今若速往，必遭其祸。袁谭曰：
The picture said, The Lord is not in Jizhou. When judging and matching, he will be appointed as the master. You should go quickly. Xin commented, when you judge and meet two people, you will definitely make a plan. If you go quickly now, you will suffer disaster. Yuan commented. Tan said,
若此当何如？郭图曰：可屯兵城外，观其动静。某当亲往察之。谭一言。郭图遂入冀州，见袁尚。礼毕，上问：兄何不至？图曰：
If this is the case, what should we do? Guo said, You can station troops outside the city and watch its movements. Someone should go and check it out in person. Tan Ian. Guo then entered Jizhou and met Yuan Shang. After the ceremony, Shang asked, Brother, why didn't you come? The picture says,
因抱病在军中不能相见。上曰：吾受父亲遗命，立我为主，家兄为车骑将军。目下曹军压境，请兄为前部，吾随后便调兵接应也。图曰：
I can't see each other in the army because I'm ill. Shang said, I was ordered by my father to make me the master and my brother to be the general of chariots and cavalry. Now that Chao's army is approaching, I asked my brother to be the front guard. I will then mobilize troops to support him. The picture says,
军中无人商议良策，愿其沈正南、冯元图二人为辅。上曰：吾意欲仗此二人早晚画策，如何离得？图曰：然则于二人内遣一人去。
No one in the army is willing to discuss good strategies. I would like to ask Shen Jingnan and Feng Yuantu for assistance. Shang said, I also want to rely on these two people to draw up strategies sooner or later. How can I get rid of them? Tu said, then I will send them within the two of them. Go alone.
"何如尚不得已，乃令二人拈阄，拈着者便去。冯骥拈着，上即命冯骥击印绶，同郭图赴袁谭军中。既随图至谭军，见谭无病，心中不安。
As a last resort, he ordered the two of them to cast lots, and the one who picked the lucky one went away. Fengji picked up the seal, and Shang immediately ordered Fengji to seal the ribbon and go with Guo to Yuan Tan's army. Ji Suitu went to Tan Jun, and when he saw Tan Wubbing, he felt uneasy.
献上印绶，谭大怒，欲斩冯骥。 郭图密谏曰：“今曹军压境，且只款留冯骥在此，以安上心。待破曹之后，却来征冀州不迟。”谭从其言。
After offering the seal and ribbon, Tan was furious and wanted to kill Feng Ji. Guatumi admonished, "Now that Chao's army is suppressing the territory, I will only stay here for peace of mind. After Chao is defeated, it will not be too late to fight for Jizhou." Tan followed his words.
及时拔寨，起行前至黎阳，与曹军相抵。谭遣大将汪昭出战，操遣徐晃迎敌。二将战不数合，徐晃一刀斩汪昭于马下。曹军乘势掩杀，谭军大败。
Immediately pull out the stronghold and march forward to Liang to confront Chao's army. Tan sent General Wang Zhao to fight, and Chao sent Su Huang to meet the enemy. The two generals fought for a long time, and Su Huang killed Wang Zhao under his horse with one sword. Chao Jun took advantage of the situation to cover up the attack, and Tan Jun was defeated.
谭收败军入黎阳，遣人求救于上。上与沈沛计议，只发兵5000余人相助。曹操探知救军已到，遣乐进、李典引兵于半路接着，两头围住尽杀之。
Tan gathered the defeated troops into Liang and sent people to seek help from Yushang. Shang discussed with Shenpei and sent only more than 5,000 troops to help. Cao Cao found out that the rescue army had arrived, so he sent Lu Jin and Li Dian to lead troops to meet them halfway, surrounded them from both ends, and killed them.
袁谭之上只拨兵5000，又被半路坑杀，大怒，乃唤冯骥责骂。骥曰：“荣某作书致主公，求其亲自来救。”谭即令骥作书，遣人到冀州至袁上。
Yuan Tanji Shang stopped sending 5,000 troops and was killed on the way. He was so angry that he called Feng Ji to scold him. Ji said, "Let me write a letter to my lord, asking him to come and rescue me personally." Tanji ordered Ji to write a letter and sent someone to Jizhou to send a letter to Yuan Shang.
与沈沛共议沛曰：“郭图多谋，前次不征而去者，为曹军在境也。今若破曹，必来征冀州矣。不如不发救兵，借操之力以除之。”上从其言。
He discussed with Shenpei and said, "Gua has many plans. Those who left without fighting last time were Chao's troops in the country. If Chao is defeated now, they will definitely come to fight for Jizhou. It is better not to send reinforcements and use Chao's power to eliminate them." I still follow his words.
不肯发兵使者回报，谭大怒，力斩冯骥，意欲降曹。 早有细作密报原上。上与沈沛议曰：使谭降曹，并立来攻，则冀州危矣。
Tan refused to send troops to send envoys to report back. Tan was furious and ordered Feng Ji to behead him, and proposed to surrender to Cao Cao. A detailed secret report had been made to Yuan Shang. Shang discussed with Shen Pei and said, if Tan surrenders to Cao and attacks with all his strength, Jizhou will be in danger.
乃留沈沛并大将苏由固守冀州，自领大军来黎阳救谭。上问军中谁敢为前部，大将吕旷、吕翔兄弟2人愿去。上点兵3万，使为先锋，先至黎阳。
He left Shen Pei and General Su Yu to stick to Jizhou and led the army to Liang to rescue Tan. Shang asked who in the army dared to be in the front line, and the brothers Lu Kuang and Lu Xiang, the generals, were willing to go. Shang ordered 30,000 troops to serve as vanguards and reach Liang first.
谭闻上自来大喜，遂罢降曹之意。谭屯兵城中，上屯兵城外，为犄角之势。不一日，袁熙、高干皆领军到城外，屯兵3处。
Tan was overjoyed when he heard that Shang had come, so he gave up the proposal to surrender to Cao. In Tan Tunbing City and outside Shang Tunbing City, there is a situation of holding hands. Not one day later, Yuan Shi and Gao Gan led their troops to the outside of the city and stationed troops in 3 places.
每日出兵与操相持，上屡败，操兵屡胜。至建安8年春2月，操分路攻打，袁谭、袁熙、袁尚、高干皆大败，弃黎阳而走。操引兵追至冀州。
Every day he sent troops to stalemate with Cao, but he was defeated repeatedly, while Chao's troops were victorious. In the spring and February of the 8th year of Jianan, Cao Cao attacked in separate directions. Yuan Tan, Yuan Shi, Yuan Shang, and Gao Gan were all defeated and abandoned Liang. Cao led his troops to pursue him to Jizhou.
谭与上入城坚守，西于离城30里下寨，虚张声势。操兵连日攻打不下。郭嘉进曰：原是废长立幼，而兄弟之间权力相并，各自树党。
Tan Yushang entered the city to defend Shi and went to the village 30 miles away from the city, bluffing. Tan Yushang entered the city to defend Shi and went to the village 30 miles away from the city, bluffing. Qiao Bing was unable to attack for days. Guo Jiajin said, the Yuan family abolished the elders and established younger ones, but among the brothers, power was merged and each established a party.
急之则相救，缓之则相争，不如举兵南向荆州，征讨刘表，以后袁氏兄弟之变， 变成而后击之，可一举而定也。操善其言，命贾诩为太守。
If they are in a hurry, they will rescue each other. If they are slow, they will fight. It is better to send troops south to Jingzhou to conquer Liu Biao and wait for the Yuan brothers to change. Chao was good at his words and ordered Jia Su to be the prefect.
守黎阳曹洪引兵守官渡，操引大军向荆州进兵。谭、上听之曹军自退，遂相庆贺。袁熙、高干各自辞去。袁谭与郭图心平意悦。
Guarding Liang, Chao Hong led troops to guard Guandu. He led the army to march towards Jingzhou. When Tan and Shang heard that Chao's army had retreated, they congratulated each other. Yuan Shi and Gao Gan each resigned. Yuan Tan, Gua Tu, and Xian commented.
我为长子，反不能成父业，尚乃继母所生，反成大爵，心实不甘。突曰：主公可勒兵城外，只坐请贤府，审配饮酒，扶刀扶手杀之。
I am the eldest son, but I cannot inherit my father's inheritance. I am the son of my stepmother, so I inherit the noble title. I am really unwilling to do so. The picture says, the Lord can lead troops outside the city, only to invite distinguished officials, judge the match, drink wine, and lay down swords and axes. Kill it with your hands.
大事定以谭从其言。是别驾王修自青州来，谭将此计告之。修曰：兄弟者，左右手也。今与他人争斗，断其右手，而曰我必胜，安可得乎？
The matter is settled. Tan follows his words. When Shibi drove Wang Xiu from Qingzhou, Tan informed him of this plan. Xiu said, Brother, I have both hands. Now I am fighting with others and cut off their right hands, and they say that I will win. Is this safe?
夫弃兄弟而不亲天下，其谁亲之？彼谗人离间骨肉，以求一朝之利，原色而勿听也。谭怒，斥退王修，使人去请袁尚。尚与沈佩商议。佩曰：
If a husband abandons his brother and does not kiss him, who in the world will kiss him? He slanders people and alienates their own flesh and blood for the sake of personal gain, so he shuts his ears and doesn't listen. Tan was angry, scolded Wang Xiu, and sent someone to invite Yuan Shang. Shang discussed with Shen Pei. Pei said,
此必郭图之计，也主公若往，必遭奸计，不如乘势攻之。袁尚依言，便披挂上马，引兵5万出城。袁谭见袁尚引军来，情之是谢。
This must be Gua Tu's plan. If my lord goes there, he will be treacherously plotted. It is better to take advantage of the situation and attack him. Yuan Shang followed his words, mounted his horse, and led 50,000 troops out of the city. When Yuan Tan saw Yuan Shang leading the army, his feelings were revealed.
一即披挂上马，与上交锋。上见谭大骂，谭亦骂曰：“汝要死父亲，篡夺爵位，今又来杀兄也。”二人亲自交锋，袁谭大败。上亲冒矢时
That is to say, he mounted his horse and fought with Shang. Shang Jiantan cursed. Tan Yi scolded him, "You killed your father with medicine and usurped the title, and now you're here to kill your brother." The two fought in person, and Yuan Tan was defeated. I still dare to risk my own life.
“冲突掩杀，谭引败军奔平原，上收兵还。袁谭与郭图在邑进兵，令岑弼为将，领兵前来。上自引兵出冀州，两阵对员，旗鼓相望，必出骂阵。
The conflict concealed the killing. Tan led the defeated army to the plain, but Shang withdrew his troops and returned. Yuan Tan and Guo discussed advancing the army again, and appointed Sun Bai as general to lead the troops. Shangzi led his troops out of Jizhou. The two formations faced each other in a circle. The jade comes out of the scolding array.
上欲自战大将吕旷，拍马舞刀来战岑弼。二将战无数合，旷斩岑弼于马下。谭兵又败，再奔平原。沈沛劝上进兵，追至平原。谭抵挡不住。
Shang wanted to fight against General Lu Kuang himself. He slapped his horse and danced his sword, and came to fight Sun Bai. The two generals fought countless battles, and Kuang beheaded Sun Bai under his horse. Tan Bing was defeated again and ran to the plain again. Shen Pei persuaded Shang to advance his troops and pursue them to the plain. Tan couldn't resist.
“推入平原，坚守不出。上三面围城攻打。谭与郭图计议。图曰：“今城中粮少，彼军方锐，势不相敌。余亦可遣人投降曹操，使曹将兵攻冀州。”
Retreat into the plains and hold on. Shang besieged the city on 3 sides and attacked. Tan and Guo discussed. The picture says, "There is little food in the city today, and the enemy's army is strong and invincible. I can send people to surrender to Cao Cao, so that Cao Cao can attack Jizhou."
“上必还救将军，引兵夹击之，尚可擒矣。若操击破上军，我因而敛其军食以拒操。操军远来，粮食不济， 必自退去。我可以仍据计招。
Shang must still rescue the general and lead his troops to attack him, but he can still be captured. If Cao Cao defeats Shang's army, I will gather his army and refuse Cao Cao. If Chao's army comes from afar and cannot sustain food supplies, it will retreat on its own. I can still occupy Jizhou.
以图进取，也谈从其言。问曰：何人可为使？图曰：新平之弟辛毗，字左志，见为平原令。此人乃能言之士，可命为使。谭即召辛毗。
Tan followed his words and asked, Who can be the envoy? The picture said, Xian Ping's younger brother Xian Bai, courtesy names Waji, is the Pingyuan order. This person is a person who can speak well and can be appointed as the envoy. Tan immediately summoned Xian Pai.
皮欣然而至谭修书复皮，使3000军送皮出境。皮星夜击书往见曹操，时操屯军西平伐刘表，表遣玄德引兵为前部以迎之。未及交锋，
Pixin then went to Tan Xiu Shu to pay Pai and sent 3,000 troops to send Pai out of the country. Bai Xing went to see Cao Cao with a letter at night. At that time, Cao Cao stationed his troops in the west to attack Lu Biao, and he sent Xuanda to lead troops to the front to meet him. Before the confrontation,
辛毗到操寨见操礼毕，操问其来意，皮具言袁谭相求之意，呈上书信。操看书毕，留辛毗于寨中，具文武记忆。程昱曰：袁谭被袁尚攻击太急。
Xian Pai went to Chao's village to see Chao after the ceremony. Chao asked him about his purpose. Pai expressed Yuan Tan's wishes and submitted a letter. After Chao finished reading, he left Xinbi in the stronghold to gather civil and military plans. Qingyu said, Yuan Tan was attacked too quickly by Yuan Shang.
不得已而来，降不可准信。吕虔、满宠议曰：丞相既引兵至此，安可复舍表而助谭？荀攸曰：三公之言未善，以于义夺之，天下方有事。
Surrender as a last resort cannot be trusted. Lu Qian and Man Chong also said, Since the Prime Minister has led his troops here, how can he abandon his appearance and help Tan? Sun Yu said, Three Dukes' words are not good. Diagnose it with stupidity. There is something going on in the world.
而刘表坐保江汉之间，不敢斩卒，其无四方之志可知矣。袁氏据4州之地，带甲数10万，若二子和睦，共守成业，天下事未可知也。
However, Lu Biao was sitting between Zhang and Han, and did not dare to show his full strength. It is obvious that he had no ambition in all directions. The Yuan family controls the territory of the 4 states and has hundreds of thousands of soldiers. If the 2 sons are harmonious and maintain their inheritance together, the affairs of the world will be unknown.
今承其兄弟相攻势穷而投我，我提兵先除袁尚，后观其变，并灭袁谭，天下定矣。此机会不可失也。操大喜，便邀辛毗饮酒，谓之曰
Now, taking advantage of the fact that his brothers are in desperate need of an offensive and have surrendered to me, I will raise my troops to eliminate Yuan Shang first, then observe his changes, and destroy Yuan Tan, and the world will be settled. This opportunity cannot be missed. Chao was overjoyed and invited Xinpi to drink, saying,
袁谭之降真爷诈也，袁尚之兵，国可必胜也。皮对曰：明公勿问真与诈也，只论其事可耳。袁氏连年丧败，兵革疲于外，谋臣诛于内。
Is Yuan Tan's surrender really a deception? Are Yuan Shang's troops sure to win? Bai Dui said, Ming Gong, don't ask about truth or deceit, just talk about its strength. The Yuan family has suffered defeats in successive years, and the army is exhausted. Outside, the advisors will be killed inside.
兄弟缠系国分为2，加之饥馑病珍，天灾人困，无问至于，皆知土崩瓦解，此乃天灭袁氏之时也。今明公提兵攻邺，袁尚不还救，则是巢穴。
The brothers slandered the country and divided it into 2. In addition, there was famine and natural disasters, and people were trapped. No matter whether they were wise or foolish, everyone knew that the land collapsed, and this was the time when heaven destroyed the Yuan family. Now Ming Gong raises troops to attack Yi, and if Yuan Shang does not return to rescue, he will lose his nest.
若还救，则谭种袭其后，以明公之威，击疲惫之众，如旋风之扫秋叶也。不此之徒，而伐荆州，荆州丰乐之地，国和民顺，未可摇动，况四方之患。
If he still saves, Tan He will attack him. Using the power of Ming Gong to strike down the tired crowd is like a swift wind sweeping away autumn leaves. Without this plan, we attack Jingzhou, the prosperous land of Jingzhou. The country's harmony in the people's obedience cannot be shaken. With troubles from all directions,
莫大于河北既平，则霸业成矣。愿明公降之。操大喜曰：恨与新所至相见之晚也。即日督军还取冀州，玄德恐操有谋，不跟追袭。
Nothing is greater than Hebei. Once Hebei is at peace, hegemony will be achieved. I hope it will be revealed in detail. Qiao Dashi said, I hate that I met Xianzuoji so late. The governor returned to Jizhou that day. Xuanda was afraid that Cao Cao had some plot, so he refused to pursue him.
引兵自回荆州，却说袁尚知曹军渡河，急急引军还邺，命吕旷、吕翔断后。袁谭见上退军，乃大起平原军马，随后赶来，行不到数十里。
Leading troops back to Jingzhou, however, Yuan Shang knew that Chao Jun had crossed the river and hurriedly led his troops back to Yi, ordering Lu Kuang and Lu Xiang to cut off the rear. When Yuan Tan saw Shang retreating, he gathered his plain troops and horses, and then came over. It can't go more than a few dozen miles.
“一声炮响，两军齐出，左边吕旷，右边吕翔，兄弟二人截住袁谭。谭勒马告二将曰：“吾父在日，吾并未慢待二将军，今何从吴地而见逼也？”
With the sound of cannon, both armies came out, Lu Kuang on the left, Lu Xiang on the right, and the two brothers intercepted Yuan Tan. Tan Lima told the two generals, "When my father was in Japan, I did not treat the two generals lightly. Why do you want to see me from my brother now?"
二将闻言，乃下马相谈。谈曰：“勿降我，可降曹丞相。”二将因随谭归营。谭后操军至，引二将见操。操大喜，以女许谭为妻，即令吕旷。
When the second general heard this, he dismounted and surrendered to Tan. Tan said, "Don't surrender me, but surrender to Prime Minister Chao Cheng." The two generals followed Tan back to camp. When Tan Ho Chao's army arrived, he invited two generals to see Chao. Chao was overjoyed and took his daughter Su Tan as his wife. He ordered Lu Kuang,
吕翔为媒谈请操攻取冀州。操曰：“方今粮草不接，搬运劳苦，我计和扼其水入白沟，以通粮道，然后进兵，令谭且居平原。”
Lu Xiang asked Cao Cao to capture Jizhou for mediator Tan. Cao Cao said, "Now that the grain and grass are not being collected, it is a hard work to carry them. I will help the river and stop the Qi water from flowing into the Baigo to connect the grain road, and then advance to the army." He ordered Tan Qi to live in the plain.
“操引军退屯黎阳，封吕旷、吕翔为列侯，随军听用。郭图谓袁谭曰：“曹操以女许婚，恐非真意。今又封赏吕旷、吕翔，带去军中。”
Chao led the army to retreat to Liang and named Lu Kuang and Lu Xiang as marquises. They followed the army and listened to them. Guo said to Yuan Tan, Cao Cao may not have meant it by marrying his daughter. Now he also granted Lu Kuang and Lu Xiang a reward and took them to the army.
"此乃牢笼河北人心后，必终为我祸。主公可克将军一2颗，按使人送与2旅，另作内应。待操破了袁尚，可乘便图之。谭一言，遂克将军印2颗。"
This is what will eventually bring disaster to me after it has caged the hearts of Hebei people. The Lord can engrave 2 general seals and secretly send them to Lu for internal response. When Yuan Shang is defeated, he can take advantage of it. Tan Yin then carved 2 general seals.
"暗送与2旅，2旅受气，竟将印来禀曹操。操大笑曰：“谭暗送印者，欲汝等为内助，待我破袁尚之后，就中取事耳。汝等且全受之。"
He secretly sent him to Lu and Lu was accepted, and then sent the seal directly to report to Cao Cao. Cao Cao laughed and said, Tannen, the person who sent the seal, wants you to be my helper. After I defeat Yuan Shang, you can take advantage of it. You have the right to accept it.
"我自有主张，自此曹操便有杀谭之心。且说袁尚与沈沛商议，今曹兵运粮入白沟，必来攻冀州，如之奈何？" 沛曰：
I have my own opinion. From then on, Cao Cao had the intention to kill Tan. Yuan Shang discussed with Shenpei, now that Chao's troops are transporting grain into Baigo, they will attack Jizhou. What can be done? Pei said.
"可发檄使武安长尹凯屯毛承通上党运粮道，令沮授之子举鼓手邯郸遥为声援。主公可进兵平原，急攻袁谭。先决袁谭，然后破曹。"
You can send a message to the chief of Wuan, Yin Kai, to garrison Maocheng and connect it to the party's grain transportation road, to order Zhu Hu, the son of Zhu Shou, to guard Handan and provide support from afar. The Lord can march into the plains and attack Yuan Tan urgently. First defeat Yuan Tan, and then defeat Cao Cao.
"袁尚大喜，留沈沛与陈林守冀州，使马延、张以2将为先锋，连夜起兵攻打平原。谭知上兵来进，告急于操。操曰：吾今番必得冀州矣。
Yuan Shang was overjoyed to leave Shenpei and Chen Lin to guard Jizhou, and sent Ma Yan and Zhang Wei as the vanguard to attack Pingyuan overnight. Tan Zhishang's soldiers were approaching and he was in a hurry. Cao Cao said, I will definitely win Jizhou this time.
正说间，是许攸自许昌来，闻上右公谈，入见操曰：“丞相坐守于此，岂欲待天雷击杀2员乎？”操笑曰：“吾已料定矣。”遂令曹洪先进兵攻邺。
Just as he was talking, Suyu came from Xuchang. Hearing that Shang was attacking Tan again, he came in to see Chao and said, "The Prime Minister is sitting here. Why don't you want to wait for the thunder to kill the 2 Yuans?" Chao laughed and said, "I have already predicted it." Then Chao Hong was ordered to advance his troops to attack Yi.
操自引义军来攻尹凯兵临本境，凯引军来迎。凯出马，操曰：“许仲康安在？”许褚应声而出，纵马直取尹凯。凯措手不及。
Chao himself led an army to attack Yin, and Kai's army came to the territory, and Kai led his army to meet him. Kai rode out, and Chao asked, "Where is Su Zhongkang?" Su Chu responded and rode straight towards Yin Kai. Kai was caught off guard.
被许褚一刀斩于马下，余众崩溃。操进招降之，即勒兵取邯郸，举鼓进兵来迎。张辽出马，与胡交锋，战不3合，胡大败，辽从后追赶。
Su Chu killed him with a sword, and the rest of the people fled. After all the efforts were made to recruit them to surrender, they immediately gathered troops to capture Handan. Juhu marched in to meet him. Zhang Liao went out to fight against Hu. The battle failed and the Hu army was defeated, and the Liao army pursued them from behind.
两马相离不远，辽即取弓射之，应弦落马。操指挥军马掩杀，众皆奔散。于是操引大军前抵冀州。曹洪已进城下，操令3军绕城筑起土山。
The 2 horses were not far from each other. Liao hurriedly took his bow and shot at it. The horse fell down at the string. Chao commanded his troops and horses to cover up the killing, and everyone ran away. So he led the army to Jizhou. Chao Hong is approaching the city. Chao ordered the 3 armies to surround the city and build mountains of earth.
幽暗绝地道，以公之审配社稷坚守，法令甚严。东门守将冯礼因酒醉有误巡警，配通责之。冯礼怀恨，前地出城降操。操问破城之策，礼曰：
They also dug tunnels secretly to attack the troops and planned to defend them. The law was very strict. Feng Li, the guard at the east gate, mistakenly patrolled the police because he was drunk, so he severely punished him. Feng Li held a grudge and secretly left the city to surrender. Cao Cao asked about the strategy to destroy the city, and Li said,
图门内土后可决地道而入。操便命冯离引300壮士，银夜决地道而入。却说沈沛自冯离出将之后，每夜亲自登城点视军马，当夜在突门阁上。
The earth inside the Tumen is thick, so we can dig a tunnel in. Chao then ordered Feng Li to lead 300 strong men to dig a tunnel in at night. But he said that since Feng Li surrendered, he personally went to the city every night to inspect the troops and horses. That night in Tumen Pavilion,
望见城外无灯火，配曰：“冯李必引兵从地道而入也。”即唤精兵运10击突闸门，门闭，冯李及300壮士皆死于土内。操折了这一场。
Seeing that there were no lights outside the city, he said, Feng Li will lead his troops in through the tunnel. He quickly summoned his elite soldiers to transport stones and break through the gate. When the gate was closed, Feng Li and 300 warriors died in the soil. I ruined this scene.
遂罢地道之计，退军于环水之上，以后袁尚回兵。袁尚攻平原，闻曹操已破银凯、举湖，大军围困冀州，乃撤兵回救。部将马延曰：
Then he gave up the authentic plan and retreated above the Huan River to wait for Yuan Shang to return. Yuan Shang attacked Pingyuan and heard that Cao Cao had defeated Yin Kai and Zhu Hu and that the army was besieging Jizhou, so he sent troops to rescue them. The general Ma Yan said,
从大路去曹操必有伏兵，可取小路，从西山出涪水口去劫曹营，必解围也。上从其言，自领大军先行，令马延与张仪断后。
If you go to Cao Cao from the main road, there will be an ambush. You can take the small road and leave Fushuko from the western mountains to rob Cao Cao's camp, and you will be able to relieve the siege. Shang followed his words and led the army ahead, leaving Ma Yan and Zhang Wei behind.
"早有细作去报曹操。操曰：彼若从大路上来，吾当避之；若从西山小路而来，一战可擒也。吾料袁尚必举火为号，令城中接应，吾可分兵击之。
I have already made a detailed plan to report to Cao Cao, saying, if he comes from the main road, I should avoid him. If he comes from the small road in the West Mountain, he can be captured in a fight. I expect that Yuan Shang will raise a fire as a signal and order the city to respond. I can divide the troops. Hit it. 于是分拨已定。却说袁尚出涪水界口，东至阳平，屯军阳平亭，
离冀州17里，一边靠着涪水。上令军士堆积柴薪干草，置夜焚烧为号。
So the allocation was decided, but it was said that Yuan Shang went out from the boundary of Fu River, east to Yangping, and stationed troops at Yangping Pavilion, 17 miles away from Jizhou, with one side close to Fu River. Shang ordered the sergeants to pile up firewood and hay and burn them at night as a signal.
前主簿李福扮作曹军都督，直至城下，大叫：“开门！”沈佩认的是李福声音，放入城中，说：“袁尚已陈兵在阳平亭，等候接应，若城中兵出。”
The chief secretary Li Fu was sent to disguise himself as the commander-in-chief of Chao's army and went to the city. Shouted, "Open the door." The judge recognized Li Fu's voice and put it into the city, saying, "Yuan Shang has sent troops to Yangping Pavilion and is waiting for the response. If the troops from the city come out."
一举火为号，配叫城中堆草放火，以通阴性。夫曰：城中无粮，可发老弱残兵并妇人出将，彼必不违背。我即以兵济百姓之后出公之。
He also raised fire as a signal to teach people to pile grass and set fire to the city to communicate messages. Fu said, "There is no food in the city, so we can send old, weak, disabled soldiers and women out to surrender. They will not be prepared, so I will attack them with my troops after the people."
配从其论。次日，城上竖起白旗，上写冀州百姓投降。操曰：此事城中无粮，叫老弱百姓出将，后必有兵出也。操叫张辽。
The next day, a white flag was erected on the city with the words, "The people of Jizhou surrender." Cao Cao said, "There is no food in the city. Teach the old and weak people to surrender, and then there will be troops." Cao Cao taught Zhang Liao and others.
徐晃各引3000军来伏于两边。操自乘马，张辉盖至城下。果见城门开处，百姓扶老携幼，手持白旗而出。百姓才出尽，城中兵突出。
Su Huang each led 3,000 troops to lie on both sides. Cao Cao rode his horse and led his troops to the city gate. He saw that the city gate was open and people came out with white flags in their hands, supporting the old and the young. After all the people came out, the soldiers in the city stood out.
操教将红旗一招张辽、徐晃两路兵齐出乱杀，城中兵只得复回。操自飞马赶来，到吊桥边，城中弩箭如雨，射中操盔，显透其领。众将急救回战。
Cao Jiao commanded the red flag and sent Zhang Liao and Su Huang out to kill them. The soldiers in the city had to return. Cao Cao came from Pegasus and arrived at the suspension bridge. Crossbow arrows in the city were like rain, hitting Cao Cao's helmet and almost piercing the top of it. The generals returned to the formation with first aid.
操更衣换马，引众将来攻上寨，上自迎敌。10个陆军马一齐杀至，两军混战，袁尚大败。上引败兵退往西山下寨，令人催取马延、张以军来。
Cao changed his clothes and horses to lead the crowd to attack Shanghai, and Shangzi met the enemy. At that time, soldiers and horses from all walks of life arrived at the same time. The two armies fought in a melee and Yuan Shang was defeated. Shang led the defeated troops to retreat to Xishan village and ordered Ma Yan and Zhang Wei's troops to come.
"不知曹操已使吕旷、吕翔取招安二将，二将随二吕来降，操亦封为列侯。即日进兵攻打西山，先使二吕、马延、张以截断袁尚粮道。"
I don't know that Cao Cao has sent Lu Kuang and Lu Xiang to recruit the second general. The second general followed Ere Lu and surrendered, and Cao was also granted the title of lieutenant. Immediately we marched to attack Xishan, first sending Ere Lu, Ma Yan, and Zhang Wei to cut off Yuan Shang's grain road.
上情之西山，守不住夜走烂口。安营未定，四下火光并起，伏兵齐出，人不及甲，马不及鞍。上军大溃，退走50里，势穷力竭。
Shanxing knows that Xishan can't keep it up and talks nonsense at night. Before the camp was settled, fires broke out from all sides, and all the troops in ambush came out. The men were not strong enough for their armor, and the horses were not strong enough for their saddles. Shang's army was defeated and retreated 50 miles. It was extremely powerful.
"只得遣豫州刺史殷魁至操营请降操杨许之，却连夜使张辽、徐晃去劫寨。上进弃印绶，节钺、衣甲、辎重，望中山而逃。操回军攻冀州。
They had no choice but to send Yin Kuei, the governor of Yuzhou, to Chao's camp to ask for his surrender, and pretended to agree to it. However, they sent Zhang Liao and Su Huang to rob the stronghold overnight. He abandoned all his seals, ribbons, axes, clothes, and armor, and all his baggage, and fled towards Zhongshan. Chao returned to attack Jizhou.
"许攸献计曰：“何不决漳河之水以淹之？”操然其计，先差军于城外绝壕堑，周围40里。沈沛在城上见操军在城外决堑，却决得甚浅。沛暗笑曰：“
Su Yu proposed a plan and said, why not stop the water in the Zhang River and flood it? Following his plan, he first sent troops to dig trenches outside the city for 40 miles around. Shen Pei saw Chao Jun digging a trench outside the city but the trench was very shallow. Pei secretly laughed and said,
"此欲觉漳河之水以灌成而毫深可灌，如此之浅，有何用在？遂不违背。"当夜，曹操天10倍军士并力发掘，比及天明，广深2丈，引漳水灌之。
The water of the Zhang River is intended to be used to irrigate the city. The trenches are deep enough to be irrigated. What's the use of being so shallow? So he was not prepared. That night, Cao Cao sent 10 times as many soldiers as he could to excavate. By daybreak, the area was 2 feet wide and deep, and he was irrigated with water from Zhangzhou.
城中水深数尺，更兼粮绝，军士皆饿死。辛毗在城外用枪挑垣上印绶衣服，招安城内之人。沈佩大怒，将辛毗家屋老小80余口就于城上斩之。
The water in the city was several feet deep and there was no food. The soldiers all starved to death. Xian Pai was outside the city, using a gun to pick up Yuan Shang's show clothes and recruit the people in the city. Shen Pei was so angry that he beheaded more than 80 people from Xinpi's family, old and young, on the city.
将头掷下，辛毗嚎哭不已。沈佩之侄沈荣素与辛毗相厚，见辛毗家属被害，心中怀愤，乃密写献门之书，拴于箭上，射下城来。军士实献辛毗。
He threw his head down to Xinpi and cried endlessly. Shen Pei's nephew Shen Rong, who had always been close to Xian Pai, felt angry when he saw that Xian Pai's family was killed, so he secretly wrote a letter dedicated to the door, tied it to an arrow, and shot it down the city. The sergeant picked up Xinpi.
皮江书县曹操先下令，如入冀州，休得杀害袁氏一门老小，军民降者免死。次日天明，沈荣大开西门，放曹兵入。辛毗跃马先入，军将随后。
General Bai Xian Cao Cao first issued an order: if you enter Jizhou, you must not kill any members of the Yuan family. Soldiers and civilians who surrender will be spared death. At dawn the next day, Shen Rong opened the west gate and let Chao's soldiers in. Xinpi jumped on his horse and entered first, followed by the general.
杀入冀州，沈佩在东南城楼上见操军已入城中，引数骑下城死战，正迎徐晃交马。徐晃生擒沈佩，绑出城来。路逢辛毗，毗咬牙切齿。
Entering Jizhou, Shenpei was on the southeast city tower. Seeing that Chao's army had entered the city, he rode down to the city to fight to the death, and was waiting for Su Huang to hand over his horse. Su Huang captured Shenpei alive and took him out of the city. I met Shenpei on the road, and he gnashed his teeth.
以边边配首曰：“贼煞彩，今日死矣。”配大骂：“新皮贼徒！因曹操破我冀州，我恨不杀汝也。”徐晃解配见操，操曰：“汝知县门接我者乎？”
With a whip and a whip, he said, "Thieves kill talents. They will die today." Pei cursed, "Shenpei is a thief. You led Cao Cao to break our Jizhou. I hate to kill you." Su Huang explained to Pei that he saw Cao Cao. Cao Cao said, "Do you know the person who offered his door to receive me?"
配曰：“不知。”操曰：“此汝指沈荣所献也。”配怒曰：“小儿不行，乃至于此。”操曰：“昨孤至城下，何城中弩箭之多也？”配曰：“恨少。”
Pei said, "I don't know." Cao Cao said, "This is what your nephew Shenrong offered." Pei said angrily, "I can't do it, and this is what happened." Cao Cao said, "Yesterday I came to the city. Why are there so many crossbows and arrows in the city?" Pei said, "You hate me so much."
恨少操曰：“卿忠于元氏，不容不如此。今肯降吾否？”配曰：“不降。”不降，新皮哭拜于地曰：“家属80余口，尽遭此贼杀害，愿丞相戮之。”
Hat Xiao Chao said, "You are loyal to the Yuan family and cannot tolerate this. Are you willing to surrender to me now?" Pei said, "No. No." Shenpei cried and bowed to the ground and said, "More than 80 members of my family have suffered like this. The thief killed him. I wish the Prime Minister would kill him."
以学此恨配曰：“吾生为元氏臣，死为元氏鬼，不似汝辈铲铲阿谀之贼，可速斩我。”操教迁出，临受刑，赤行刑者曰：“吾主在北。”
With Shui's hatred, he said, "I am born as a minister of the Yuan family and die as a ghost of the Yuan family. I am not like you who framed and flattered the thieves. You can kill me quickly." Cao Jiao led him out. When he was about to be executed, he scolded the executioner, "My lord is in the north."
不可使我面南而死，乃向北跪，引颈就任。后人有诗叹曰：“河北多名士，谁如沈正南？命因婚主丧，心与古人参。 终直言无也。
Don't let me die facing south, but kneel to the north and draw the sword. Later generations wrote a poem and sighed, There are many famous people in Hebei, but who is like Shinjingnan? The fate is lost due to coma, and the heart is like ancient ginseng. Be honest and speak out.
廉能治不贪临王有北面，降者尽修残。沈沛既死，操连其忠义，命葬于城北。众将请曹操入城，操方欲起行，只见刀斧手拥一人至，操视之。
Those who are honest, capable, and determined and not to be greedy are still in the north when they face death, and those who surrender will be ashamed. When Shenpei died, he was buried in the north of the city out of pity for his loyalty. The generals invited Cao Cao to enter the city. Cao Feng was about to start walking, when he saw a man approaching with swords and axes in hand. Cao looked at him.